Hello, everybody, and welcome to Silent Podcast, the place where everything but silent. I'm your host Isaiah, back again with a Big Brother review series. This is episode 9, I think. So we're pretty deep in here, and I have a very fun panel for a very fun season, in my opinion, of Big Brother.
Did he freeze?
I think he did.
See, everyone, if you have wrong opinions, this is what happens.
Froze for a second. But yeah, we're here to talk about Big Brother 16. I have a very fun panel. I have Mari for the first time. Mari, what's up?
Yes, I'm glad to finally make my silent podcast debut. And I am here to defend Big Brother 16, but also I'm with the shits as well. So I can't wait to talk about this.
All right. And then we also have Sasha here.
Hello? Why'd you say it like that? I'm just here because I was asked by the boss, so I needed to show up. So I guess here I am.
And then Chappell is doing another podcast, but he will be here a little bit later. So we have a whole lot to talk about. But first of all, just based off vibes, everything. How do we feel about Big Brother 16 as a whole, guys? How do you guys feel about it?
I'll go first. No, well, okay, so I have to put you guys back where I was when I was watching this. When I was watching BB16, I've watched every season of Big Brother live since BB5, and then went back and watched whatever, blah blah blah. So when I was watching BB16, I watched it live, but back then I wasn't a full live feeder. Back then I was just kind of reading the reviews and reading the updates and still watching the shows. So I wasn't on Twitter. I didn't get on Twitter till 2 years later, and that's when the shenanigans really hit the fan. So for me, when I was watching the shows, I watched the shows. I knew what the shows were saying, but I was also I was on Morty's TV, Hamster Watch, if you because you're addicted, blogs like that, Big Brother blogs like that. And I was having them tell me what was going on in live feed. So I felt like I was still in the know for stuff. But I did not know how hated this season was online until I joined online. For me, I loved watching it. Going back and rewatching it for this, I was I feel like the Derekness of it all, I think his legend has been blown up more so. Now afterwards, because I think he was a good player here. I do think that he put out all the fires, like Taryn likes to say that he does, and it wasn't easy. You know what I'm saying? I think as the years gone by, people talk about how it feels like people are saying it was too easy for him, but I truly don't think it was. I don't think it was nearly as easy for him as it was for let's say Paul a few years later. You know what I'm saying? I don't think he had it as easy as people made it seem. And I truly don't think that he was playing against a bunch of dummies, as some other people might say. So I thought this was one of my favorite seasons. I was rooting for Derek. I, just like they wanted me to for the TV show. And when he won, I loved it. So I this was one of my favorite seasons. And then I get on the internet and people are like, it's one of the worst things ever, blah blah blah, this and that. And I was like, oh really? So that's just my take.
All right, how about you, Sasha? Because I know you have a whole different opinion here.
Yeah. So when I've also been watching Big Brother for I think since 2006, whatever that is, and I've been in it. I'm not a live feeder as well, just like Mari, but I've been very much led by the producers. So when I first watched this live, I agree. I was very much like, Derek's an amazing player. He was one of my favorites because I am not necessarily for the underdogs. That story doesn't work for me in the same way it works for everyone else. I want someone to dominate and really do well. So in that way, I was a big fan. Then I actually thought about it. I went back and rewatched a few things, and I actually rewatched half this season, and then I gave up. But it's still no shade to Derek. I agree with you, Mari, that he wasn't necessarily playing against dummies, but every single cast member besides Derek wasn't playing to win, which is why I feel like this is a huge issue for me on the show. And this is why I'm kind of irritated. And then I personally just didn't appreciate how the men were talking about all the women. I just felt like it was really
Very true.
gross. The whole Amber of it all, which I'm sure we'll get into. And it felt like the men, not all of them, but a lot of the bomb squad, whatever that was very much like, if you're a woman and you have an opinion that isn't serving me, you're
Yes.
out. Get the, GTFO. And I remember being like, Joey's a horrible player. She sucks. Which, looking back again, I was like, well, she wasn't great, but these men are evil. And I think I texted Isaiah and I was like, these guys suck. Like, why am I watching this? So I will say, in the moment, I actually really liked the show and the season and Derek as a winner. And then looking back, it just feels like icky to watch specifically the treatment of the women and how just bulldozy it was. And then everything that came out, Christine and Zach, right, came out later and talked about how they would lead certain house guests, which we don't know technically who, but I'm making a big assumption, and I could be wrong, that it was Derek, right? That they were kind of tipping people off as to what was going on in the house. So a lot of certain house guests had an idea of the house versus other people were in the dark. So all of that kind of together is why I'm irritated by this whole season.
Very interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of in the middle, right? So when I first started Big Brother, it was like Big Brother 13, and right afterwards, I got to see Dan do his work, and I was just like, "Whoa, this is crazy!" Like, I went back and watched all the seasons, and I'm like, "Okay, when are we going to get like a generational player?" And in our time, at least, it's kind of Derek, where I looking back now that has been a couple of years, I'm like, all right, there's not a lot of adversity. On the rewatch, I actually do have a lot more respect for certain players that I didn't originally have on the first watch, which
Yes.
I'm very excited to talk about, because I think the whole notion of people saying nobody try to target Derek, there was plenty of people who tried to target Derek, but it just flopped a lot. But it is definitely a steamroll in some cases. With that being said, I will say that first of all, it's been a while since like the show has been like watchable. And I did 17 last week and I did 16 this week, and the show is very watchable. Like, I don't need feeds fully. I am like hooked. I'm like, yo, like this is like the first time I watched it. Like, I really liked watching Big Brother 16 and I really enjoyed it on the rewatch. So I will give it that. Like, I don't know why they stopped editing it like this, but it was very fun to watch. I think they explained the strategy, the drama, the shenanigans, and all that perfectly. And even though this cast does have some duds, I do think that this is a very strong cast when it comes to personalities. I think there's a lot of
very much
so. They're just hilarious here. There's a lot of crazy people in here, so I'm excited to break them all down and everything. But this should be a fun one. But without further ado, real quick, I wanted to talk about I always start off every podcast talking about the production side of things before we get into the cast. We're looking at twists here. So obviously the twist of the season is Battle of the Block, the jury buyback, which they don't really do anymore, and Team America and the rewind button. Now, how do we feel about this? I mean, obviously the Battle of the Block, they try to make this a new staple of Big Brother. I thought it was interesting on the first time, but 17 showed me that like this is just broken.
Not
and it's
interesting.
And then Team America, I mean, I have some opinions on that. And then the rewind button, I also have opinions on that. But how do we feel about these twists?
Boo, Battle of the Block. No,
tomato.
Yeah, because I felt like I understand, Big Brother always tries with these twists. They really do. But the engine that could, right? It doesn't. And especially with Battle of the Block, I found myself just being more frustrated because constantly the player that is more masculine, right, or the stronger player physically would always end up being the HOH, and the weak, quote unquote, weaker player would give up their HOH. So that was a big issue for me. And then secondly, why are you incentivized to put strong people on the block? You're not, because you get
Exactly.
screwed. So in that way, maybe I should be a little less pissed off at the cast and a little more pissed off at production, because why would any of the bomb squad go up? Like, are you stupid that you're gonna put up Frankie, who wins a damn battle of the block by himself?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so it's just, so what is the incentive to not have a strong man win the season? I don't see it.
I mean,
Yeah. And
uh,
I'm sorry, Isaiah. I just think it's exactly that. Like, why would I want to go after somebody who possibly can win and be safe for the week? You know what I'm saying? Just to come back at me. Like, how did the production not think of this? And then I think what they wanted to do was like, they thought this is what production's messed up logic probably was. Like, if we make two HOHs, maybe we'll get a situation where the HOHs are from other alliances, and then they'll really trying to like pit against each other. But it's like, no, those two HOHs are just going to try to work together so that the one who gets dethroned isn't the replacement. Like, it is just so frustrating how these twists always fly back into the producers' faces. And what we see in BB16 that plants the seeds for the breaking of the twist in BB17 is that the HOHs started working together, even if they were on the opposite sides of the house. Like when Derek and Nicole got HOHs, like you think, oh, maybe there's going to be some tension there. No, they finally say, they even say it to each other, like, oh, I'm glad we won, because now we can actually start to work together this time. We can open up a channel of communication. And it's just like, y'all are so stupid. Like, production never thinks about what can go wrong. You know what I'm saying? They never think of worst case scenario. I think they get something in their head and they think, oh yeah, more people on the block, more people safe, this will cause waves. And it's like, no, it just causes the same people to continuously be put on either one of the two battle of the blocks continuously. And then more than likely it's going to be the weaker players who have no backup, because that's what this twist produces. So I just can't believe that they thought that this was going to be a great twist. And you got, like Sasha said, I think this cast is like really like superb. Even rewatching it, I was like, man, it's such like some top-notch characters and players this season. And it's one of those seasons where like it really did shift modern Big Brother. And I know that's a bad thing. Technically it's a bad thing down the line. But I think that the bomb squad and then the detonators wouldn't have been able to steamroll, I guess is the correct word, if it wasn't for this twist.
I mean, even to add on, I mean, I think 16 was the beginning of the whole put someone up that's going to throw the comp, where like you have Pow Pow at first, and then Caleb multiple times trying to be the person to be the white knight for Amber, and you saw how that went. And then Vanessa definitely broke this when her side kept throwing Johnny Mac up, and you saw how that went. So
yeah,
I'm glad they don't do it anymore. Like I said, it was an interesting attempt, but it did not work out the way they wanted it. I also wanted to. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, but before you move on, also it lasted way too long. Like it lasted the whole entire season, basically. Like at least like nowadays they abandon their twists. Like they abandon them kind of soon now.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, it's kind of to introduce another stupid twist. However, at least sometimes they get them out of the way. Like this one should not have gone. It went all the way to what, the final
5.
Yeah. So like somewhere between 7 and 8, somewhere between.
Oh really? I thought it was.
Yeah, because they did the rewind button still. So
but the rewind was 5.
Then it was 5.
Yes, I just watched it. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. No. It was Christine's HOH was.
Yeah.
Oh no, not Christine. I'm tripping.
5 or 6.
Yeah, when Christine went
That's
out.
Ridiculous.
Yep. Cody was the first single HOH, correct? Yeah.
So it went on way too long. And I think the twists honestly are a big fault with this season. I mean, even outside of that, like Team America, I like that they gave the players an option to turn it down this time, because obviously you see what happened with Eric back in the day, and he completely ruined his game for it. But This actually almost like helped Derek a little bit, where it gave him like a preset alliance, stopped people like Donnie from really coming after him. I think it clouded Frankie's judgment at some times, where like he's like, I really trust Derek when he really shouldn't have. And then the rewind button, like Victoria, it goes if there's no rewind button, and I would say Victoria is probably more important to Derek's game than Cody is. You know, like so. My God, I don't know what happens if that doesn't happen. So, you know, there's definitely some misses here with the twist, but I mean, I appreciate them for at least trying. It's just that no more game altering twists. I don't like the structure of the game being messed up. But
Team America to me wasn't as bad in a sense, because most of those tasks were kind of just like silly and funny. The only one that was really like the one that they turned down that could have hurt their game, like throwing those hinky votes, like that was, I think that's the one that sticks out to me. That was like the worst of the ones, but it wasn't it definitely didn't like, we didn't have to have control of their whole entire votes. And if they were HOH, have control of their HOHs, like with Eric Stein. So I didn't really mind Team America. I thought it was really wonky that it was weird that they had us voting. The voting was weird. Like you voted the first night when there was only 8 people. And then out of those 8 people, 1 person was chosen. And then you vote again in like 2 weeks. Like it was so wonky in a sense that Joey was a part of Team America. It was voted out before Team America could be formed. Like where did that go? Like how often does that, like how ridiculous is that? Because Annie, the same thing happened with Annie in Big Brother 12 with she was the saboteur and messed around and got voted out first.
But
and then they had to rethink that.
If you're Team America, maybe you get like a 1 week, something special so that you don't get voted out at least. God, because
it was so weird.
It was so silly. I mean, I have to say, I didn't mind Team America. I thought it was like a fun little twist that, was just kind of on the side. It could have been an alliance together, but Donnie was in hell. Donnie was like, I don't have anything but Team America. No, you don't have anything, Donnie. That's the problem. And on top of that, I think I liked that when Frankie came up with the play, they Team America didn't like it, so they didn't get the money, right? So I was like, oh, I like that. I want Frankie to get knocked down a peg a little. So those were fine. I actually didn't mind the reset button because I was just so over the guys. That's why. But and I didn't want Victoria to go home because I was like, I want them to eat each other at least a little bit. So let's make that happen. And I think if there was maybe more than one, maybe a Nicole in the house, Christine, that maybe, a woman gets HOH somehow and then can, nominate 2 strong guys. But that's my BB fan fiction, obviously. That's why I didn't mind the reset. I think by that time we knew the end that Derek was probably going to win. So it doesn't matter. Yeah. That's how I feel about those 2 at least.
I'll say Joseph made an interesting comment in the chat. He said, a lot of Team America was probably created so they can edit an episode for Sunday. I mean, yeah,
honestly.
I think modern day Big Brother could use a Team America because, my God, this shows is very unwatchable. But there you go. So we can start talking about this cast a little bit. Just break down some of their games. Obviously, the first boot here is Joey. Joey was a member of the famous El Cuatro Alliance. Didn't do too hot.
I forgot about them until I rewatched. I was like, oh,
me
too.
Probably one of the worst alliances they ever tried out, but it happened. I remember Joey had some kind of alter ego that was supposed to be like a guy, Alex. Yeah, but how did you guys feel about Joey here?
Joey the liberal.
Yeah. They pushed that way too much.
They're so ridiculous. Sorry, go ahead,
no, it's okay. This was one of those seasons where I really, really, really wish we had feeds week 1. Like, as unwatchable as like modern Big Brother may have become, thank God for night one feeds. Like having night one feeds since BB22 has been a lifesaver. And I truly hope they don't change it. I was kind of scared with everything that happened with Taylor the first week this year and all of the articles that maybe they might think about reverting back to no night one feeds. I truly hope they don't do that because we miss so much in those it's 2 weeks, you know, we all know that we miss of not having those feeds because when you have to wait till after like an eviction. So like this was so weird. Like the way that it's edited, it's just like Joey just becomes a pariah basically. We know she tries to start the all girls alliance, but we already know that there's already an all guys alliance and all that. So it feels like there's a switch somewhere that we kind of miss because even the women kind of turn on her. I really wish we would have seen that. I also think that love him or hate him, you gotta kind of give Devin credit because if he hadn't have brought in Amber and Christine at this point, maybe Joey's all women's alliance may have stuck a little bit more. But he got to Christine and Amber first. So by the time that Joey had pitched her girls alliance to the both of them, Amber was like, nah, I'm good. Like there's not an all guys alliance because I'm in it. Okay, Amber, famous last words.
Wake up, look around.
Look around, right. But I feel sad that we didn't get a lot of Joey. But she made a lot of missteps that we know of. But I still feel like there's something missing.
I actually agreed with you about everything. First night feeds, all of that correct. I also think looking at this cast, and it's really edited, right? I haven't seen the live feed, so take that with a grain of salt. But it felt to me like the women specifically were so averse of like that they don't want to be seen as a girls' alliance that I don't think they were gonna bite anyway. I mean, we know Nicole's history. And and she, like her and Christine, right, were barely like making it together and they literally slept in the same bed. So this is what I feel like the women were never gonna bite. Poor Joey came in with like an agenda that she couldn't stray away from, which is why I think she boxed herself in. And these guys were shit and they literally came up with this alliance. Devin and Caleb specifically were so like gross about it, right? And like they were just like, how dare she come up with a women's alliance? What's your shit? Yeah. What are you doing? You know, and like, and the fact that no one stood up to them, because this is why I think I would never go on Big Brother because I will get voted out week one because I will stand up to these people and then I will get stuck and I'll get voted out quickly because no one else has a backbone. So I just felt like there was a lot of like quiet whispering of like Joey's right, we should get the guys out. Joey isn't but when it comes time to actually do something, no, I like my position, right? And it's go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, and I agree with you. To be quite honest, the women were all very different. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think they were just all too far apart. Like, if there was any diversity, it all came from the women. They all came from way too many different backgrounds to really gel. You know what I'm saying? Meanwhile, all the men were just meatheads, and like, you know, like there's cut and paste. So many of the same guys. So with the women, I don't think it was like, oh, boo, we don't like women, we don't want to be in an all women's alliance. It was just like, I'm not cool with her, like Victoria and like who, like Amber, like did Amber. They I don't even remember if they talked. So
I'm gonna just throw in there. It's like you know, I think they kind of gave up the whole all girls alliance idea like immediately when the second group came in. It's like Amber ratted it out. Obviously, as you guys said, like Nicole and Christine didn't really feel like they were trying to do that. And then I don't even know what Pow Pow was doing. Pow Pow was just in that house,
Pow Pow.
Who we're talking about next, by the way. But it's just like I don't know. I think she also just failed to adjust to her situation and just really like, you gotta throw people under the bus at this point. I'm sorry, but like you're down.
No, but instead she started apologizing. She was like, I started a girls alliance. I'm so sorry. What are you apologizing before, I would have started lying and been like, I know all of them have an alliance together. And I would have been like, Amber, Christine, wake up.
Yeah.
Do you understand that there's more of you? Like, you're literally the diversity hire. Do you
Mhm.
understand that? Right. And I think Joey, with the whole Alex thing, tried to like make a joke of it. But unfortunately, you're right. Like, where Amber's background, she's like, no, me and Donnie actually are way stronger than any girls' alliance. So for me, it was like, the men were kind of put on a pedestal, right? We have one from New York, Frankie, one from New Jersey, Cody, and Derek is from Rhode Island.
Yeah,
I'm not saying
right.
they're all the same, but how similar are those areas, right? Where
Right.
they can come together pretty quickly versus a California, Washington,
Oobly.
oh yeah, thank you. And Jacasa is from Lovejoy,
Tennessee.
Georgia. Like
Yeah.
none of this makes sense. So I thank you. Yeah, Mari, I didn't think of that, so I should go easier on the girls for that. But I just found it so frustrating that they see the writing on the wall with the Brittany, who she's like, oh, I put the math together that they're all doing it. But you know what? I love Caleb.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So they
Yeah.
had momentum first half of the week, and then something would happen, and then they would lose all the momentum.
And
I felt
again,
like,
that's
or Derek would happen, rather, I should say.
that's why I want to know, like, when did Joey pitch this, like, all girls alliance? Like, specifically, because pitching an all girls alliance after the HOH where two men are
Yeah.
HOH, it's like kind
Yeah.
of like, yikes. You know?
Yes.
Oh my God, I
And
don't know.
this kind of transitions into the next person, which is Pow Pow, who kind of meets another fate that's kind of similar to Joey's, but it's kind of worse because obviously this is Devin's HOH week. She cuts a deal with them to throw the HOH, and they're trying to get Brittany out. Obviously, Devin gears change in this guy's mind every 5 seconds. He goes from wanting to get Brittany out to wanting to keep Brittany, and in order to do
Try
that,
to
he
get
needed
with Brittany. No.
Yeah.
Yes. But yeah. But you see, it's crazy, and I mean, we're gonna start talking about Devin, but like, Devin went from let's target the floaters, let's get Brittany out, and then he found out that Zach and all of them don't want to do that, and he gets mad at them for wanting to get Brittany out, and then he has a conversation with Brittany. It's like, I'm gonna keep Brittany now, so let's get out Pow Pow instead. Or no, he wanted Zach out, and then Pow Pow gets eliminated. It's a mess. It is such a mess.
Yeah. Pow Pow basically ends up as the collateral damage vote, which can happen a lot at like first vote out, second vote out. I'm thinking of Ashley and BB14. I'm thinking of I forget her name from BB19, who went out after Cameron because with the whole Christmas Paul thing.
Rainbow hair
what was
girl,
her name?
yeah.
Oh,
No, not her. I'm talking about the white
BB19.
conservative girl from BB19 who she was barely on the show. But Cameron, remember Cameron went out. Cameron went out first, right? And then it was when
Megan.
There you go.
Not Megan. No, not Megan, because she
Jillian Parker. Who the hell?
Jillian. Yeah,
Jillian. There you
Jillian.
go. She was not on the show.
What the hell?
Yeah, Jillian wasn't on the show at all.
This lady.
Yes.
Yes.
She was collateral damage between the whole Cody trying to get rid of Paul, but then he couldn't get rid of Paul, so he put up Christmas, but nobody wanted to, Paul made it so they couldn't vote out Christmas, and Jillian was just sitting there doing nothing. Like that's what happened with Pow Pow. Like it was a casualty, and that's one of the things. Like if I ever go on Big Brother, I would never want to be taken out because you're trying to get at somebody else. Like I would much rather be taken out because I misstepped somewhere in the game and it's my fault than to just be like, sorry, you're collateral damage because this person did this to this person and we want to kind of save this person to go after this person. And it sucks for Pow Pow, but honestly, she didn't make a ripple in the game. I still do think, actually, now I said that, I think she kind of was her own Achilles heel, because why would you throw that battle of the block when like
Yeah.
I get agreeing to it beforehand when you're looking at like when you're staring at like Hayden and Nicole and you're thinking maybe they could overpower us physically, but the moment that game isn't about it isn't a physical game and you have just as much chance to win as them, why would you throw that? You know, and we still don't know, like it she says she throws it, but then when you confront it she says she didn't throw it. It's so weird.
I also
She
don't
threw.
understand, and I mean, I just don't understand why she was so willing to trust Devin too, because I don't think they
That
had
too.
a real relationship before then either. So
Exactly.
I don't know.
She
But
trusted him twice. Like, cause she
No,
also
but
thought
exactly.
he's gonna use a veto on her.
exactly. And not only that, I think this is exactly the problem with these specific players. It wasn't just women, because Donnie does this too, but they're showing you who they are to your
Yeah.
face. And then you're still like, no, let's work together. I think he'll change for me, right? That kind of energy. And it's like,
Right.
baby girl, he won't. And on top of that, the fact that they were targeting Brittany just because she called out what we were thinking, right? She was like, so you're throwing Caleb under the bus, Devin. And why is Caleb mad at Brittany for doing that when, you know, she kind of had your back because it was a house meeting? And after Devin calls that house meeting, he was like, well, I told Caleb to do this, so I'm sorry. So Brittany was like, oh, so Caleb, you said your nominations were based on whoever dropped first, and that's not true then, because you're saying Devin did it. So that's why Brittany was targeted for speaking the truth. And these like little boys couldn't handle someone speaking the truth. And she wasn't even being confrontational. Like, I would have been so much meaner about it. And they were like, she's a public enemy number one. We got to get her out. She's so smart. She's such a threat. No, you have a big ego.
Well, there you go. That's Pow Pow. So next
Bless her
is,
heart.
in my opinion, one of my favorite Big Brother players of all time, Devin Shepard. I don't understand why he hasn't been asked back. I know he was supposed to be on The Amazing Race with Zach Rance, but obviously Zach messed that up.
Oh my god.
But
Oh,
I love,
really?
yes, he was. But I love Devin Shepard. I think he is one of the biggest messes in Big Brother history. Obviously, him and Caleb co-created the Bomb Squad, and then he brought Amber and Christine in without telling anyone. He would just do crazy things without telling anyone. He told Pal to throw it without telling anyone. He threw my God, Zach up without telling anyone.
Yep.
What a mess. And then this guy was prepared to try to cop his way to the end after that. Like,
week 3.
He was like, he made the double D's alliance with Donnie. And then
put him on the block, right?
Put him on the block.
Because he's lying about his job. Because Donnie's secretly a military like spy.
But then he was like, oh, I want my daughter to look back and not think me as a bad person. So he blew up his whole game in front of the house for Donnie. And then he was just like, everyone stopped trusting this guy. He was like, Zach's going home. No question about it. And then Frankie's like, Zach's staying. He's like, I'm done with the Bomb Squad. It's over.
Yes.
Like, he was so bad at Big Brother, you know.
Bringing in Hayden, like it was bad, but it was like and it was just bad. Like, and I really hated how he talked to people a lot. Like, I really did not like how he talked to people, especially how he talked to the women. He was he was like too blunt, too direct. He like scared people, which I hate to say, with the only like he was basically the only black dude on the cast, really, but he really was intimidating in what we saw. You know what I'm saying? Like from what we saw, and you can't work with people like this. You could clearly see everybody was like, dude, what is he doing? And every step of the way, it was a clusterfuck. And then when we get to the week that he's going home, he outs the Bomb Squad. And this is one of the reasons why I think people, again, I think they over mystify like what Derek did and the Bomb Squad itself. The Bomb Squad was out at week 3. People knew every person in that alliance by week 3,
except Victoria.
Yeah. So they still had to get over that. You know what I'm saying? Like it wasn't like a committee where Julie has to tell everybody who voted him out. It wasn't like the leftovers where nobody saw it coming. Like the bomb squad was out there, and being able to form the detonators and all of that, like that was something that was adaptable by Derek. I think people stop and forget and think that he had this all lined up before it actually happened, but that's not what happened. He had to scramble once the bomb squad was blown up. So Devin here shooting himself in the foot, like really just throwing all of his allies under the bus, flaming out. I'm trying to rank it on flame outs. It's like Devin, like where does Devin fall between like a Kyle Moore or a Frenchie? You know what I'm saying? Like,
oh my god,
you know what I'm saying? Like now that I rewatch it, maybe it's recency bias. It kind of doesn't. It still doesn't feel as bad.
I think because he was still fun. Like I felt like him and Zach, even though they were a hot mess express, like, but it was still like funny to watch, where I was like, what the hell is Devin gonna do now? I was watching this a season with my husband who's never seen it before. So he was like, what the hell is Devin? And he had to pause when Devin brings in Hayden, I think. And he literally paused and laughed for like 10 minutes because he was like, no, this person is not on Big Brother. Like, you're lying that this is like someone that's allegedly the head of the bomb squad. Like, how? And I forgot how how fun to mock he was.
It was just crazy. And I'm not going to forget, there was like times where like people were like, yo, it was Caleb. He went to Devin and was like, the women don't like how you're speaking to them. He was like, what are you talking about? There's no alliance. There's no alliance. Like this guy was just all over the place. So,
and then he would tell you what to think, right? He'd be like, there is no alliance. You should not do this. And I was like, what? Oh my, I'm telling you, I'm 5'1", and I would be like, let's fight. Let's just go fight. Let's just do it.
Now, I will say, so before he even like threw the bomb squad under the bus, I will say they were plotting on him beforehand.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
Found out, so that's when he started acting, psychotic. But I mean, it is what it is.
And I think, and I'm sorry, just again, because I'm still like, I'm also trying to think about him versus what's her face from this season, the one that not from this season, but from like 24, who flamed out and left.
Yeah.
Amira?
No,
not not Paula. Y'all keep saying Paula, but it's not Paula. But her name starts with a P.
Talking about. Yeah.
Whatever. Yes, her
too. That girl's name.
know.
Oh my god.
Specifically,
it's with 24.
Like her too.
Oh, that's embarrassing.
Like that buzzing around, that including everybody in the alliance, walking up to Michael saying, "You're in this alliance with all of us." Post-pack, Paloma.
Yeah. Irrelevant.
Devin still feels like I liked him better because I hated the way he talked about the women. I truly did. I hated the way he talked to the women, but I still felt like by the time he was leaving, I felt sad for him, because I think even Cody said, I remember he said, this is the guy I remember wanting to be in an alliance with. Like, this guy disappeared for like a week and a half. Like, where did he go? And I think that's why I love Devin in comparison to all those other people, because he still felt like he was trying to do right. And, he talked about doing it for his daughter, and none of his choices seemed malicious. They weren't rooted in like race or anything like that. So like
just misogyny. No, I'm just kidding.
Well,
he went after Zach. I mean, like, it was mostly, it was paranoia.
He did bring the 2 girls in the alliance, because he was like, all guys in alliances, we've seen this before. We need to bring.
Well, he said diversity hire. We gotta do it. Okay. So I think he had more redeeming qualities than the other fools that we're talking about. That's correct.
That's what I'm saying. I just felt like he was driven more by the paranoia of the game than any other like previous biases, to me personly.
I agree. I think it's very much like alpha energy when you're actually a beta.
So bring Devin back. Let's give
Yeah,
him
I
one more chance.
Absolutely.
Second chance
agree.
season.
I'm still waiting for it. I'm always gonna say it every year. I do have a couple clips loaded for tonight. I just wanted to play this one real quick because Devin was only in the house for like 3 weeks and has a 43-minute documentary on YouTube. So
What?
this is just one of the moments that I love from Devin Shepherd. I just need to play it. Oh.
So this is the deal. I'm going to try and make it as quick and short as possible. It's time that everybody puts on their big brother face, their big boy pants, no emotion. Let's do this already. We got to get on the same page every week.
Hashtag house me.
Not a one-person dictatorship. The goal is to keep our alliance safe. It is not about getting out the floaters. It is about working with the floaters to get out the other strong players. I'm going to give you my reasoning. Partially, 50% personal with Brittany, okay? Pow Pow and I talked before the competition, and she purposely threw that comp. And I said, you were safe this week if you throw that comp.
Just shut up. Like, that's what I would
We
say.
are together. So if it's Pow and Brittany, who do you want to go?
Cricket. This is when Sasha would have been like, well, actually.
You're a fucking idiot.
Pow is by far the weakest player I've ever seen on Big Brother
Stupid.
in my life.
Right.
And, Pow, I have nothing personal against her, but I like Brittany more. So I want Brittany to stay.
I hate when people don't talk in house meetings. Like, I'd be so pissed.
We're an alliance of 8 people, and that's extremely large. And, none
Alliance
of
meeting.
us are ever going to be on the same page about anything.
And that's the other thing is Caleb said that basically there's people in this alliance pretty much that want me gone. So who said it?
A bunch of punks. Look at them. Punks.
The deal is that we protect each other all the way to Jerk.
This
That
guy's
being
such
said, it's about protecting the
A
team.
menace.
Home, it's
A
gonna
menace.
crumble. It's just gonna crumble, and we have to keep each other safe.
I'm not gonna play the whole thing, but I just want to play
The
a little
problem
bit.
is,
Like,
I would be Zach. I'd be like, is no one gonna speak up? Are you all like mute? What happened?
I would have
Zach,
spoken up, but I would not have told him that I was one of the people that said I wanted him out. Like,
Oh,
that's
never
where Zach
that.
really messed
Yeah,
up.
Zach is
Like,
dumb. Yes.
what?
but there you go. Wow, we spent so much time on the first three, and we have so many people to get through.
It's
So
great.
Let's keep going. Yeah.
move on. The next person we're going to talk about is Brittany. Brittany, I'm gonna be honest. Brittany did not really have much of a game for a majority of the beginning half. She kind of woke up when she got put on the block, when she found out that Pal was about to throw the challenge to get her out. And I will say her biggest moment was the whole soccer punishment thing. I know they made a whole segment about that in the game and everything, but I don't know. I think that if she was ever in a position of power, would have did something to like really shake the house up a little bit and put guys up. She just never got that moment. I do think that she could have been a good player, but I don't know. I mean, I don't know how to really feel about Brittany. I think she was just like one of those players who could have had potential, just never really got the chance to show it. Am I wrong here? How do we feel about Brittany here?
I agree. I think she's just one of those players that ran into a wall. Like, everybody played her, like the alliances were set. Like, there was nowhere she could maneuver. And if anything, I think that whole soccer thing was she played that wrong, because if my punishment is I can't play in the veto next week, knowing that I'm more than likely going home, I'm not going to do that punishment. I'm going to not be able to play in the veto. And I use that as leverage to keep me. I'm like, just keep me another week. I can't play in veto next week. If you want to throw me up again next week, throw me up again next week. Like, she could have used that to her advantage. But she didn't. And I just feel bad for her, because I feel like you said, she could have been a competent player, but she couldn't play around the dynamics of the house.
See, I agree. And I feel like it was, play a little too long, a little too late by JoJo, because the cards were on the table, I feel like, for a while, right? Since with Joey, we've known that these boys are trying to come for all of them. So it was very much, that poem, like first they came for whoever and I didn't speak up because I wasn't. Then they came for then they came for me and no one was left to speak up. Like that felt like Brittany and Amber and Nicole and Donnie, right? All of these people's issue was that they should have clocked what was going on, and then Brittany and Donnie, I feel like, should have been the ringleaders to kind of get the rest of them together. But so I feel bad. I think that the way the house was working against her was shit. And I have to say that what else was it? Oh yeah, and I have to say that I felt like the way she talks about Victoria, sorry, I couldn't remember who it was disrespectful as hell. She was obsessed with Victoria, and I think she was salty that Victoria just like allegedly got to slide, which at this point, Victoria was playing well. As in, like, she was on the block. She was kind of winning some. She was being funny, silly. So I think she was just a little bit jealous as well of Victoria and how she got to like slide. So all of that together is why I'm not as high on her as I should be.
And I mean, that's fine. I mean, she then, she's out fourth. So, I mean, there's not a lot to work with here. Real quick, I'm going to bring Chappell in because I see him in the background.
No, keep him out. Oh, hi, Chappell.
I can't even hear you. I can't even hear you, bro. I can't even hear you.
No, there he wasn't talking.
I was laughing at the disrespect. How y'all doing? Sorry I'm late. I was recording, and so I jumped out of one podcast into other. But what are we talking about? Who we talking about? We dragging Brittany? Is it time?
Yeah.
We're on Brittany now.
Okay.
Look at his face.
She kicked the ball. I'm happy for her. That's it.
Yeah.
Thank you. Have a good day, Brittany.
Well, there you go. I mean, look, I don't got nothing else to say about Brittany, but she was there. So next is Amber, and
of course Chappell came in for this one.
So we started with me.
Yeah, I mean, I think Amber. Obviously Devin put her in a bomb squad. She was there. I think Caleb had a weird obsession with her that honestly kind of ruined a lot of her game. I think she was targeted because of the Caleb obsession, to be honest. And I do think that she did have some potential. Obviously, I mean, she won the challenge, so she knows what she's doing to the challenge factor. Spoiler alert. Sorry. But I don't know. I don't know. I think Amber really didn't know how to like pivot when she needed to pivot. I think that her and Cody did have a good connection to the point where Cody was this close to actually putting up Caleb. I'm trying to get people to put Caleb up, but it didn't work out, obviously. Chappell, how do you feel about Amber here?
Amber was robbed. And I don't say that like she would have won the game had
absolutely not.
What I'm saying is she had an uphill battle because of outside factors that should not be allowed to be in the game, right? When Caleb starts showing an unnecessary like amount of just attraction to her, you know what I'm saying, and just like relentless like pursuing of her and talking about her to everybody and this, that, and the other. It's like at some point production has to step in and be like, hey, you got to chill, because like this is too much, because she can't actively play the game like that. Like she can't go into a room where somebody's not saying, well, Caleb was just talking about you, or Caleb just did this, or Caleb said this about you. It's like, to an extent, he crossed some lines, like he really like there really needs to be a defined line of like what you can, like the amount of space you should give another human being. And I feel like people like Amber, a lot of women in the games, a lot of people of color for sure, don't feel empowered to be able to speak up for themselves, because it's like, well, if I keep quiet, then perhaps I can slide through. But if I complain, all the big strong guys are going to vote me out because I'm the squeaky wheel. And so I feel like she wasn't given a fair chance to play the game. I don't think we really have a good indication of how good of a player she would be. I think on the challenge, she's fine. But that's a different skill set. That's not Big Brother. And so I feel like of plenty of people who've been robbed from Big Brother, I think Amber got a really tough track, because it's one thing to like be sexually harassed a little bit. It's another thing to have to live with that person, and then at the like expense of what, $250,000. So, or whatever, however much. I mean, they was getting back pennies back then, right? But whatever. But yeah, so that's what I have to say about Amber. She seems nice though.
Yeah, and it's so. Oh, sorry.
Oh, I just quickly, in addition, Chappell, what you were saying about production, I actually looked this up, and turns out that they interviewed production, like a bunch of people were like, Amber's being stalked, blah, blah, blah. There was a bunch of articles about it. And turns out production actually said, well, we're keeping an eye. It's just he has a crush. He really likes her, and we can't help that. Like, that's how they spun it, which I felt like was fascinating.
And then again, it just makes you know that they never learned their lesson from this, because then we get what happened between Davon and Frank 2 seasons later, and how they completely dropped the ball on that situation, and that was even more advanced with actual physical touching. So it's like, production, God, y'all suck ass.
And Paul and Zakiya.
Yeah.
Polly, whatever, my brother Cody.
Yeah. But I agree. I think because Amber what is a loyal soldier. If there's one thing she keeps saying in the challenge, she just wants an alliance to march to the end with, and that's what she had found, like, in the bomb squad. And if it wasn't all of this tension between the Caleb and Cody of it all, Derek and Frankie, I don't think would have targeted her to leave, because the whole thing was they wanted her to leave so they could reel Caleb back in, you know what I'm saying, and keep his eye on the prize with helping them win. And it's just not fair. It's not fair that her game was impacted the way that it was. And it sucks, because if Caleb wasn't there, she could have really formed a close-knit connection with Cody, and could have probably used him as a shield to get further in the game, because Cody really did like her. And like Sasha said, Cody was very close to almost putting Caleb on the block in order to get rid of him, so him and Amber didn't have to feel all weirded out by Caleb. But Derek did what Derek does, saved Caleb, and Amber ends up going out a few weeks later, and it just sucks. I feel so bad for her.
I mean, I feel bad, but do I feel bad, if I'm being honest? Because no shade at all, but she was constantly also being like, Joey wanted a girls alliance, but look at me, I'm with my guys. I want to I'm riding hard for them. Oh, this is who I have till the end. You don't, and it's embarrassing. And guess what? They picked Caleb's horrible misogynistic ass over you. Like, Caleb literally, can you imagine, he put his lips together to say that you don't bite the hand that feeds you, Amber. I did so much for you. I did this, I did that. What else did he say? He was like, she's getting a little too big for her britches. And the fact that these loser spineless jellyfishes in this house were like listening to this man talk about her like this, and we're like, yeah, we got to get rid of her so he comes back. Like, you have no woman had a chance to win the season, period. You know what I mean? Because look at everything Amber went through, and Cody, right, was giving us little flashes of hope with like, Caleb's making me like uncomfortable. Maybe I should do something about it. But they didn't. And Caleb even took the 5,000 over the veto, and they still sent Amber's ass home. Like, it's horrible, and I feel for Amber, and I will always feel for Amber. And I just, it frustrates me when folks can't come together and like try to like make something happen as well, when she did have maybe other weaker players trying to get with her. But fuck Caleb, man. And I can't believe he sees peace to this day for what he did to her.
Yeah, I think Amber does the thing where she tries to hop in bed with the patriarchy, right? Like, you should try to take it down. But she was like, okay, well, if you can't beat them, you need to join them. And then we see what happens with that, right? But we see that happen year after year with women's alliances specifically, right? We see every time you see like a women's alliance, and then you see the one woman who kind of is savvy enough to say like, well, if the men are going to win these first 2 challenges, I need to go align with them. And then that person has completely undone all the work that you could have done by just sticking together. Because you don't know your own power. Like Sasha said, you got to come together. She was trying to like, and she's not the only one. Like, we're gonna get to Christine, I'm sure.
Christine,
but like, yeah,
looking at you,
flashing.
Yeah, but it's one of those things where it's like you would have been better off fighting that power structure and trying to tear it down, as opposed to being like, I'm not like those other girls. And so, like Sasha said, you know, I feel bad for her. Caleb sucks, but also, this was not a winning strategy for you either.
Exactly. That's all I'm saying.
I'm not even gonna forget where they were like Zach and all these people are going to Caleb. It's like, oh my god, I can't
Oh,
believe that she's treating
yes.
you like this. You went on the block for her.
Zach.
You ate a
Ugh.
pickle. You're gonna let this happen? And then they literally tricked Caleb to believe that it was his idea to put her on the block to scare her.
gaslighting.
And he
Weak,
was shocked.
weak.
He told Frankie, put her on the block so we can remind her where she needs to be loyal
Yeah,
to.
because to
And
scare
then
her and not to vote her
yeah.
out, just so she
Yeah.
can run back into my arms. Why? Because I
Such a
put
mess.
a blanket on her, an extra
Mess.
blanket off of my back so that
Yeah.
she could be warmer. Who asked, you freaking stalker? My
Weirdo.
God.
Real
Like,
Weirdo
quick.
he
energy.
drives me crazy. I truly, when he got medevac, I'm telling you, I don't wish bad upon people in Survivor, but I'm just like, look at you, Amber's karma.
Real quick, I'm not going to play this whole thing. I just for anyone who hasn't seen this, the examples of how creepy Caleb was to Amber.
Oh god.
This is the stalking. Real quick, I just need y'all to see this.
This week's been kind of weird.
It's like knocking me out a little bit.
So I was in a relationship for such a long time. I got used to always having somebody.
Mm-hmm.
In the past year and a half, it's been nothing.
Want to be my friend?
We're already friends. I was like, wait.
Not the the rattle.
So here's Caleb creeping around every single time I'm with Amber. This kid just always happens to pop into the room and just walk by to check up on her. It's definitely starting to get under my skin.
So do something. Do something.
That's all. I'm not going to play the whole thing, but my God, that guy was something. Yeah. Okay. So we're done with lashings for. So look, that's the pre-jury. So we can start talking about the jury real quick. No shade. I feel bad. I do not have a lot to talk about with Jocasta. I don't think Jocasta really had a game, to be honest. I remember, she was cool with Donnie, but she never really got into a side or anything. I don't think she really got in any sort of gameplay. She was just kind of there. Hate to say it, but like I just don't think this was really the game for Jocasta. Am I wrong here? Does anyone have a different opinion on Jocasta? I don't want to spend a lot of time if I don't need to. But
No, because she was a recruit, I think, right? I'm pretty sure
she was.
that doesn't surprise me.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so.
Those bow ties, JoJo. Come on, man. Listen,
Mm-hmm.
Jocasta and no bow ties. It was driving me crazy. But I was rooting for Jocasta. I try to root for everybody. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
But to an extent, you just couldn't do much. And I was just yelling at my screen every day, like, Jocasta, girl, do something. So I don't know, man.
And unfortunately she started the whole like Mama J thing. Like,
Yeah.
whatever black woman there is, put Mama and then her initial.
Yeah.
And then
I wish somebody would.
I hate to laugh at her, Mama Mari. No, I'm messing with you.
Ew.
It don't even sound Mama. Anyway, I hate to throw Jocasta on the bus a little bit, but when she started speaking in tongues, I threw my phone across the room because I was so mad at her. I've never been that mad at somebody in my life for praying. I was like, lady, how you gonna be this invested in the game now? You ain't did nothing all game, and now you like I about lost it. I was like, ma'am, stop speaking in tongues and take that goddamn bow tie off. So
When someone else threw the game so that she won, right?
yeah, she was she was just
Mhm.
happy, which I
Caleb
get it,
threw,
but also yeah, I get it, but also Jocasta, you're not doing nothing. You're not doing nothing. Just God ain't just gonna give you this. You gotta work. I don't know.
The fact that they made it into a segment and they did it with Dominique. Tell him like, I see your spirit, big brother. I see your spirit. I'm tired of y'all. Stop it. I don't have much else to say about Jocasta.
The best
Anyway.
line though and meme we have gotten right. I'm so used to giving.
Yeah.
Now I get to
And
receive.
now I get to receive. Her power.
When I saw that again, I was like, "Oh my god, this is like she's just so funny to me." But she was lost. She was just lost in the sauce, and she thought that she could come in and play an honest game on Big Brother for some reason, and I don't know what Jocasta was doing, but she was the sweetest, and I couldn't believe she made jury. I actually forgot. I thought she was like a pre-juror that went out, and then Julie was like, "Now it's time for a jury," and I was like, "Jocasta was on jury."
Nope, that first juror spot. always goes to a black woman. Love Jocasta as a person, but
Yes.
a BB player, she was not.
Also, can I just say, so this is not about Jocasta, but this is before Julie became God's child. So my question for everyone is, if baby 16 Julie was current Julie, would Jocasta have made it to the finale just because of how, how Julie was like invested?
What are
Should
you
have got
talking about?
different
Julie
edit for
doesn't
sure.
watch the show.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
No, but if they told Julie that there's someone speaking in tongues on the show, Julie's like, that is the winner pick. So who do I have to pay to get her to the end? Because listen, at that point she was married. Oh, is
Yeah.
married still, but
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
person was the head
Married,
of
2
CBS.
kids,
Me
all of that.
thinks she puts in some calls to Jesus and her husband and makes
But
it happen.
also, Jocasta ends up going out here because Nicole is a dummy and puts her up, knowing that there's also
Idiot.
still an alliance that was working together. And this is the one time where 2 people outside of the bomb squad have power in Nicole and Donnie, and they still fuck it up. So it was just kind of like I don't understand why Nicole and Donnie, not knowing who the bomb squad was, didn't just put up literally all of the strong boys.
Yep.
You put up Caleb
Questions
and
that
Frankie
need answers.
and Derek and Cody or whatever. Put them all up. Have 4 of them fight against each other. Yeah, 2 are gonna stay, but 2 are at least going home.
Well, this is where Derek and Cody start doing a lot of damage. Specifically, here is when they make the rationale.
The rationale. Yeah.
Like,
Oh, right.
they're definitely trying to play the middle, and it's interesting to see their play styles this time around because Cody's definitely the more aggressive one. He's like, let's just get out the people that are direct threats to us. And, we kind of see him do this in All Stars too. But Derek is more of the passive player. Like, nah, let's play the middle and, see what happens. So he was getting ready to ride with the I keep forgetting the lines.
The rationale.
Oh, such a dumb name. He's getting ready to ride with that. And I think that's why Nicole has a really poor sense of judgment. Hayden as well, because Hayden co-signed this. I don't know why he did that. But yeah, like they dropped the ball bad, and I don't even know how they allowed that to happen.
Yeah. And then there's Donnie's still incentivized by Team America to not target Derek and Frankie. So it's kind of like, for him, putting up Caleb was the option, right? And then, Victoria, like there was a backdoor plan. There's a lot going on there, but he does not have full range to be like, no, I'm about to burn this alliance to the ground. That's just not the position he was in. And then, of course, I'm sure y'all talked about it, but Battle of the Block is just, like, what the hell?
Yes.
Flop.
Sorry.
So
that was so funny.
So this next week is where the game really starts, to be honest. This is Hayden's elimination week. Like I said, this is it was interesting because the whole rationale thing was formed. Who was the HOH this week? I'm trying to think.
This was a double. This was
2.
Jocasta goes out.
And then Hayden goes out, right?
Yeah. Caleb wins. Caleb wins HOH.
There you go. Yes.
It's Donnie and Hayden on the block. Donnie wins veto. Nicole and Hayden on the block. Hayden gets voted.
So Frankie is the HOH. Oh no, Caleb.
Yeah. But
because it was one only, stupid.
Yeah. But it's crazy because, first of all, they did not know that Jocasta was going to go. They thought Zach was supposed to get blindsided here. And honestly, they were this close to making that happen. Yes, because during my rewatch, they were actually really ready to get rid of Zach. Zach was acting sporadic. He was acting crazy, leaking stuff out. And they're like, yo, I'm done with Zach. Like, let's get rid of him. But then I think it was Caleb that kind of like jogged this into Derek's head. They were like, why are we getting rid of one of our numbers? So instead, they went from Team Rationale and they flipped back over to the detonators.
Huh? You're giving Caleb the credit for that? I think it was Derek.
Yeah. It was Derek made the call, but if you watch it back, it's the conversation with Caleb that made his mind spin, and he was like, "Yeah, I mean that makes sense."
Yeah.
So that's the whole reason that they kind of flipped that
Yeah,
back.
that's correct.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, Jocasta, that's a huge blindside on not only Donnie and Hayden and Nicole, but then afterwards they blindside Hayden. And my God, Zach's acting like a crazy person. He's like calling people out. I tweeted this on Twitter the other day, but like he's just making Nicole cry. Like they were completely in the dark here. I don't know. I mean, so with Hayden, was the rationale the plan to go, or like did they drop the ball here? Because they were close theoretically to making it work, but yeah, they got played here.
This was the way to go with Jocasta sitting
Yeah.
next to
Zach.
what's his face? Zach. That was the right call. Like if Zach was sitting
Mhm.
next to a Frankie, then they could have gotten rid of Zach, stayed with the rationale, whatever. Jocasta being up there was just too tempting for them. Like you're gonna get rid of one of your numbers to save Jocasta? That doesn't make sense.
Right. What if Jocasta wins HOH? She's not gonna put up Donnie and Nicole. She's gonna put up one of y'all. So y'all don't talk to her, which I mean, again, she wasn't doing nothing, so I don't really blame y'all. But also the way the structure of the house is set up, with her being the black woman left, it's kind of like, where was she gonna turn for some familiarity with a lot of these people? So it's like, yeah, she was kind of in a corner. So get rid of her. Why? She could do anything. Where Zach ain't about to do nothing. He's not about to bust a grape. Honestly, I don't know if y'all talked about this already. I'm not a Zach Rance fan. Never was. I didn't get it. I don't understand the praise that he gets to this day. Maybe that's just me, but whatever. Not my thing.
I mean, whatever.
I
I think he was better on the second watch than he was on the first, but that's not saying too much because he's still an idiot. And anyway, no, I can't get into it yet. We're not there yet. But also I have to say, Derek wins at the end, right? So whatever way they went, I feel like is the right way. And also I feel like Zach is I don't mean this in as mean as this is gonna sound, but that little like dog that you're like, oh, you gotta get your like yuppies out and then you're gonna come back into the house and be fine. Like that Zach, where you're just like, yeah, go yell, go do your thing, and then come back to us and we'll all be good. Because at the end of the day, I feel like he was pretty easily manipulated. Even when he tried to make something happen, he still just spilled the beans and was like, yeah, Derek, this is what I tried to do and I failed. So he's an idiot. So why would you let go of your idiot? Like Derek says that, right? He's my dummy. So I agree with that, where I was like, he's my dummy. So why would I let my dummy go? No way.
Yeah. So I mean, that's Hayden. You're not too much, because he actually didn't get a lot of screen time either. But I mean, he was there. I think he was onto their trail as well, but he just got manipulated. So there you go.
What's Hayden's best line of the whole season?
I don't have one.
I don't have one. Yeah.
When they mentioned Jocasta and he goes, "Who is that?" in the entire room, I never forget that. It was Victoria. They mentioned Victoria, and he's like, "Who? Victoria? Is she here?" I screamed because I was like, "Thank God somebody else sees it." Victoria ass was just in her own world half the time. But that's the only thing I remember about Hayden is that moment where he's just like, "I'm sorry, there's a Victoria in the house."
And Nicole Showmans.
I don't remember.
They brought him back for a cameo in 18 as well. They're like, oh, this is the guy who she used to have a showmance with. Like that's his
relationship outside. So
messy.
Mm-hmm. But there you go. So next is the person that Chappell doesn't like. I'm gonna be honest. I am unfortunately a Zach defender. I do like Zach Rance. I think he's a menace. Now for the antics outside of the house, bad, but in the house I did like Zach Rance because I thought that he gave me a lot of entertainment that a lot of this cast failed to give me. I thought he was good in the DR. I thought that his gimmick with the whole pink hat and gator shirt every week was hilarious, and I think he got on everybody's nerves. He got on Nicole's nerves, Christine's nerves, Caleb's, the entire house. He got on all their nerves, and he was this close to getting Derek in trouble as well, because he literally exposed not only the detonators to Victoria and Nicole, but Victoria was gonna keep her mouth shut about it until
What an idiot, mega idiot.
yeah, like Derek, honestly, if you watch the conversation, snitches on himself that he was lying.
Yes.
And if it wasn't for Zach saying that I lied, they probably would have got in trouble. But you know, he exposed that Victoria knew. Victoria's like, I was gonna keep my mouth shut, but he didn't. I think that he was trying to give us good TV. I don't think he was good at the game by any means, but he's the only one, in my opinion, outside of maybe Donnie, that got Derek off of his tracks just for a millisecond, you know. So I like the fact that he was messy. I'm fine with being in the ship alone. I do not care.
No, I feel like I
Yes.
agree with you. No, I agree with you. I think he was an idiot, but like, who else was giving us the mess that he was giving us on this show?
It's only
at this
him and
point?
Devin.
Yeah, because imagine this man.
Yeah.
He was like, Nicole and Christine are sitting downstairs. They're have-nots, right? Got it. And take Starburst. And it's like, anyone want Starburst? What a dick. You know what I mean? But I was like, this is what I want because I'm tired of Kumbaya. I don't like when they're all friends. It's so fake and I hate it. So I was like, well, at least he's giving me something. I wouldn't like it. I think I would have punched him if I was in the house. But outside of that, since I'm not in the house, I think it would have been great. Like, can we remember when Team America was like, Zach is related to Amanda?
Yeah, it's like-
Oh,
And
yeah.
he just like completely loses it and he doesn't know what to do.
He
Like,
went
imagine-
with it.
yeah, and people hate him so much that Victoria
Mm-hmm.
was like, I hate you so much. I will now cut up my own hat that you wear to try to
Mhm.
piss you off. You know what I mean? He's so unhinged. He's horrible, but I felt like it was good TV, horrible. And it never, I don't know, the Jews on this show, what a horrible showing for us, man, between Zach and Victoria. How embarrassing.
Don't let the University of Florida shirt fool you. I am not a Zach fan. I didn't like him on the rewatch either. Like I felt like he only had that energy towards like Nicole and Christine and the women.
Boom.
Like
There it
I
is.
Oh, well,
really
yeah.
don't think he
There
had
it is.
that energy against the dudes. The only one time that I kind of like freaking enjoyed him and agreed with him was when he found out that Frankie was Ariana Grande's brother. And he
Ooh,
was
the breakdown.
he was in production crying and yelling. I thought that was one of the funniest things I've ever seen in my entire life. And I didn't realize until I think I read a write-up of that happening later, but basically he was crying and he was that upset because he felt like production and everybody was going to make it so Zach won. Sorry, that Frankie won. And that's what he was like saying, but that didn't really come through in the episodes. I can't remember what I thought it was that he was trying to say in the episodes, but it wasn't that. I was like, what is he? Yeah, he's Ariana Grande's brother. Why are you making this big of a deal out of it? I was
Because
so
he's
confused.
a fool and a
Yeah.
flop. That's why.
I hated his overlong speeches that made absolutely no sense. Every time he tried to confront somebody, it was crickets, like throwing Fruit Loops at people. It was just so, you could tell it was done for TV. And I get it can be entertaining, and he still does it. He's still not in the realm of like some of the other like Big Brother bullies. Like, so it's not as bad, but he was just annoying. And just like Sasha said, if I was living in a house with him, I would have punched him and then I would have got expelled because he was
That's
that
fine.
annoying.
I imagine one of the first people to ever get expelled. Would love it. Put that on my resume because I'm going down with the fight at this point. I think I would have poisoned his food or something because like there's no way. There's no way.
Yeah, I wasn't a fan. I just felt like, you know, because he was in the dominant alliance, which was all men, a lot of his bullying tactics went down to the women. It's the same thing, Isaiah, you've already talked about the season when Paul comes back. Everybody is bullying the people in the smaller alliances. In this house, the smaller alliances were just the women. So, and Donnie, you know, and so it was like, yeah, if he wanted to pick on somebody, it was always them. So he was always yelling and cursing and harassing the women in the house. And I just thought he was a sucker. I never liked him. And sorry. And so like he was good TV sometimes, but the Fruit Loop Dingus thing I thought was just like, bro, you just being mean to a bunch of women in the house.
Exactly.
Are just trying to play the game. They're not being mean to you, you know? So it's just like, I was never a fan. I was happy to see him go. Now, how he goes is very interesting, but like him as a player, I'm good.
I will say He did blow up Devin during the one time where he put him on the block. He blew his game up.
And
I
he
will also
talked.
say,
He's the only one that spoke up in the meeting against everyone else.
Yeah,
Like
then
no
he-
other
That's
man
true.
was speaking up. It
and
was
he
him.
also
That's
blew
true.
up Frankie when Frankie was starting to be
Yes.
shady. He was like, "That's right, that's right," and then he like trying to mess his game up. So I'm going to say he did call a lot of people, and like I said, he is one of the few people to try to mess up Derek's game. I know a lot of people
Yes.
say,
Yeah.
he would. Well, that's close. If he wasn't dumb, you would have been close. But you know what? It is what it is. Real quick, I just thought that this is one of the most forgotten goodbye messages, so I'm gonna play this real quick.
Oh Lord.
Just wanted to don't let the door hit you on the way out. Oh, and by the way,
I deserve that.
look what I have.
Oh, his face.
I thought that was funny when he lost his hat.
But it's her
Um,
hat. It's not his. Like, what the hell? That's what actually drives me crazy. And also, can we talk about Kathy Griffin roasting the shit out
Oh
of him?
yeah.
To be like, it does all of this, basically trying to make us think she's talking about Frankie. And then she goes, Zach. And then Zach couldn't, like, he's such a punk. He like couldn't handle it and didn't have anything to say back to her. So of course he
Mhm.
was a punk. And I think that's why I find him funny, because I know I could bully him and make him like
Cry.
regret the day he was born. Because I think I could do it. I think it could be really easy.
Oh my gosh. Sasha.
Yeah.
I will say, I think Frankie made a huge mistake letting him go as easy as he did, because he was like a loyal puppy dog to that guy. Yeah, but like that was, it was crazy. But all right, so moving on, we have Donnie. Just to move things on.
The saddest
Donnie.
eviction.
Yes. Much better than I remembered him on the rewatch. Like he was actually close to getting Cody to put up Caleb one week, and before Frankie ratted out to Derek, and then Derek completely mind changes Cody. Like Donnie was very close to like messing Derek's game up a lot by getting Caleb out. I think Donnie just was a good soul that people like. He was actually really good at competitions, pretty good social game, and I think he fit in the verse of Team America, but he just never got in a position of power like ever.
Yeah.
I think anytime he was close to it, Derek completely unraveled it, and it just messed everything up. But I like Donnie. I'm shocked he wasn't invited back for All Stars 2. He said he didn't even get a call. So I don't
really?
know what they were thinking with that one, but I would like to see Donnie back.
No,
I think he
Derek
was a good
probably didn't
player.
allow it. That's what.
Oh
mess.
God. A mess. Yeah, Donnie. So you feel so bad because his whole game is about survival. Like he can't even enjoy the position of power that he finds himself to be in, and then with the Battle of the Block twist too, it just never comes to fruition for him. So he's just hopping from one veto to the other. And this was the one part that once I I said I didn't watch the feeds, and so when I came to like BB Twitter, they would talk about like how horrible Derek had treated Donnie, which apparently I did not know or whatnot. So Donnie was like Sasha said, I don't necessarily root for underdogs all the time, but the people, and he was one of those people that I really wanted to be able to stay there for as long as possible, even though I knew he was so far out of the power structure that it was inevitable that he was going to end up leading.
Yeah, I like Donnie. I was one of those people who are fully invested in Donnie. Like at that point in the season, I was just like, all these people suck. Just because I saw the things Derek was doing, as far as like isolating them and stuff like that, and which is a good Big Brother strategy, make no mistake. But also, I was like Donnie on a human level. I really enjoy him. He like Isaiah said, he won some competitions. He won the Big Black Box competition, which was amazing to me.
Yes.
I remember
Alone.
he won it on his own. I was like, he's crying, I'm crying, fist bumping, like that's my come on,
Yes, that
you know,
was
so
good.
those moments were the reason why I was really rooting for Donnie, because it was such an uphill battle, and you had people like Christine and other people who were just like complete foils to Donnie and the few moves that he could make. So it's just kind of like he had like a powerhouse across from him. He had some people who weren't the most competent players with him, and then he had double agents too. So it was an uphill battle. Justice for Donnie. He was gone too soon.
Yes. Do we have any other closing things to say about Donnie before we move on?
No,
Okay.
I just felt like he was too loyal to Team America.
Very.
Mm.
And, you know,
That's all he had.
real
What else
quick,
could he-
I
yeah,
do
what
want
else
to
could he have
say
done?
he definitely tried when there was the week they were like, all right, your mission is to make up a mission. And he
Yeah.
was trying to get them like, hey, let's try to save me. I think America will love to see that.
But
Like, it
he's
was like,
right. We would
no.
have.
Yeah.
But
So-
what was that? Like, did they run out of things? They're like, yeah, just make your own
Go
shit
on,
up.
fix-
Like,
He
what
said,
was
well,
this?
Well, I guess I have to make one up then. I guess. I talked to Caleb and told Caleb that he guys like Donnie. Come on, man, just speed it up. Yeah, he was screwed. Donnie was screwed. I'm sorry. I have nothing negative to say about Donnie.
Yeah.
No, not at all. He just bless his heart, you know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
bless his heart.
And I'm just gonna go because I realized, like they said in the chat, Nicole is up next. So let me go.
Nah, you stay here because you
I
get dragged with
have-
the rest of us.
No,
and then
I
you
have
can
a
go.
hard deadline, and I
Uh-huh.
just realized what's up next, and I don't know if I'll make that deadline if we start
Mess.
Come on.
that conversation.
You got 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Well, just give us your hot take and then go.
Yes. Okay, I like that.
Well, now I done put myself on the spot.
You did.
Yeah.
Spotlight
okay.
on you. Let's go.
I mean, I just put myself in where I was when this like really when it first happened. I was still Team Nicole. Like
As you should
like
have.
at this point, I was still Team Underdog. You know, and Christine. Like I was so like, come on, Christine, Nicole, y'all can do it. And it was like, nope, like Nicole, get your ass out of here. And so watching this season back, I was like, damn, like Nicole really was somebody that we literally all loved and was rooting for. And it really was like you either live long enough to either die a hero or you live long enough to become a villain, because
I'm crying.
she is abominable. But at least she is still I still stand by, like, later on in the season she was like a good winner and all of that, and she does deserve like the stuff she has, and she gets way too much flack. But I just thought that this was her star turn here, and it just sucks that, you know, it all flops later on down the road. Okay, I'll listen in until I gotta go.
You know, I was like, all right. So like, I was okay on Nicole at the time. I like that she was in the underdog role. You know, I was lukewarm on both her and Christine. I'm gonna be honest with you. You know, I've like, you know, I felt like, well, we'll give Christine her lashings in a little bit, but with Nicole. With Nicole, I felt like, you know, I think they both were being sneaky in some regards. Like, first of all, when I first saw Nicole, I was like, oh my God, like this duo with Christine is going to be so awesome. I was like, I can see this working. And then I don't know it's not like she didn't make the whole rationale thing without telling Christine. And it's not like Christine made the whole detonators and lines without telling Nicole. So it's like they're both being a little sneaky here. Nicole was included in the El Quattro at the beginning, and they kind of threw that to the side like immediately. She was like, I like these other people a little bit more. So, but at the same time, she was also one of the few people who posed a threat to the point where they had to do the first real big blindside of the season on Hayden just to throw her off her game. We didn't talk about it, but even before the Donnie elimination, she was voted out, came back in, and then voted out again. You know, so you know, I think she was dangerous. Obviously, I think her and Donnie could have made some noise if they lasted long enough. She was the person to correctly tell Derek, you remind me of Dan Giesling a little bit. And you know, that kind of freaked him out. So she was very
Wait, you're
smart.
saying that's smart to tell someone that?
No. I'm saying to read is smart. I'm not saying tell.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, never say that. Yeah.
But you know, I thought she had a lot of potential. And I mean, granted, she's one of the 3 people to come from this cast to win a season of Big Brother. So, you know, she knew what she was doing. But yeah, I agree with everything Mario was saying.
Oh, my turn? Or Chappell can go?
No, you can go.
Okay. Well, I disagree with everything. I don't think she was a good player. I think that she was maybe had a little bit more brains than the rest of the squad, but we didn't really have much to go on. And I feel like the edit makes her look much nicer because at the end of the day, every chance she got to snake, a person, especially women, she was taking it. And she was like worried about Hayden way more than I feel like anything else. Because let's not forget for a week at least, her whole storyline that they showed us, I want to make that clear, was Victoria and being jealous of Victoria.
I
So
forgot about
let's
that.
yeah. So I feel like Nicole is getting a lot of like, oh, you were, part of the Donnie Nicole like front, right? To
Mhm.
make things happen. But I believe when she was HOH, right? Because because Christine
Yeah.
was an HOH before Nicole. So Nicole was first and immediately bites onto Christine being shady because something about her I don't trust. You look the same, right? Like think about if someone that looked just like me, I would immediately be like, you have no choice. Like you and I are besties. And another point, right? Let's talk about diversity and the lack of it on the show. And why do we need two people that look the same, right? That literally down to the damn glasses over
Michael
maybe
Kyle.
over maybe one more person of color in the damn show. You know what I mean?
They voted out the 4 black people back to back.
Yeah, they had to get rid of them first.
I mean, where's the Asians? Zero. Negative at this point,
Well,
right?
Chappell, I think, was out
fuck.
there.
Yeah. Sorry.
She was out
I'm
second
rude.
before the
Oh,
blacks.
of course,
They got rid of
Asians
her
are
and then the
out,
blacks.
guys.
Yeah, you gotta the hierarchy.
The hierarchy is
Eyebrows.
Asians go first. And because there's maybe more than one black person sometimes. Here we are. Anyway, but the point is that I don't appreciate like how Nicole was moving. I feel like from jump, she's like, I'm sleeping in bed with her, but I know she's shady. And I'm not saying Christine wasn't. I'm not saying that, but let's not act like Nicole was this like savior that she was because I understand why, right? Like I don't disagree with you, but I just feel like that's production trying to tell us that versus her actually like doing something. Because when she was HOH, and Zach came up to her like a snake, she was like, "Oh, can we work together? Fine. Maybe people will think that no one will think, sorry, that we're working together. So then now we'll be a fun alliance. Wake up, dude. They've stabbed you 7,000 times.
Okay. I that was great. I have to go. Y'all
Wow,
continue.
Mari, silence
I
and
don't-
Chappelle.
I know. I'm gonna. I'll
No,
hear it on the
it's
other
fine.
side. I'll hear
Yeah,
it on the
it's
other
fine.
side. I'll stick around on
Y'all
the
see
other
this.
side. But
Y'all see this? Janine,
Bye,
you
guys.
see it?
Right.
I hope invite me back for another season.
Absolutely.
Not
good
a
season.
shit one, but
Right,
then
a good
again,
season for
Yeah,
Mari.
you owe us.
Anyway.
I hope you know that.
Yeah,
They really
give me a
brought us here to
golden,
change
like
the
the
narrative.
golden era, like the
Yeah.
first 7.
Yeah.
Bring me back in the first. Anyway,
That's
all
what
right,
I
bye-bye.
said.
Okay,
Bye.
Mari.
Bye, Mari.
Go ahead, Chappelle.
Yeah, I get what Sasha's saying, but I again, I don't fault women for sometimes seeing that the structure is built against them and trying to assimilate to it. Because a lot of times when you are in these situations, and we all know it, we're all minorities and whatever, we know that it's a lot easier to kind of go with the status quo to protect yourself. And I think that Nicole was definitely confronted with that a couple times with the little Zach alliance and all this other stuff. It's like, yeah, you should be putting up all these guys. But you know that in the structure that they've made, you're probably going to go next if you do that. So you try to build these other inroads. I don't give her a pass for that, though. I definitely think that, like, at some point you put your foot down and you say, well, F it. We're just going to have to take the shot and we go take the shot and we'll see what happens next. I have to win the veto. Because chances are she's going to have to win them anyway. I think she was fine. I think that the best thing that Nicole did in this game was learn how to play Big Brother. I think she watched a big structure that she was not a part of happen. And then the next time she played, she made sure, but without any room for error, that would not happen again. If there was a structure, she was going to be in the big structure. And whether that meant showmancing her way to the end or whatever people want to say, I think she really realized that I could not beat these men when they all aligned as one and we were all, undercutting each other to become a part of this patriarchal structure. So I'm going to go make myself the queen to somebody's king and we're going to figure it out together, but I'm not going to go at this alone. And if I got to throw other people under the bus to do that, I think that that's what she realized would work for her. I don't fault her for that. I just think that, like, in this game, this was like her, like Mari says it in the chat, this was like her trial by fire. Everything she tried, she saw didn't work. Next time she came in, she didn't leave any of that to chance. She's like, I'm going to surround myself from all these dudes, and then we'll see what happens. And she just has to get one dude to be closer to her than everybody else, and she might be okay. And she did that the second time, but this time she was just there. She was trying, so that's why we were rooting for her. Unlike Sasha, some of us really do root for the underdogs. I like good TV. I think it's really boring to watch like Derek go and tell everybody about how he's gonna. I think maybe it's even less about that. I think it's more that Derek is boring. You know, like I think there are dominating players who are not boring. I think this season is boring because the dominated player was boring, and so like I have to watch every week this boring person dominate the screen time. So I'd like to see people like Nicole and Donnie, and to a lesser extent Jocasta and Christine, really make moves to shut this down. They weren't successful, and this is what we got. But Isaiah, if you brought me here to change the narrative that this was a good season, baby, no, it's not happening.
Absolutely, I'm not listening. Listen, everyone's here to say what they gotta say.
We all
but with Nicole though, I mean, I also just because I want to bring it up again. It's like if her and Hayden were in power that 1 week, you know, Cody and Derek were very prepared to blow off the detonators and go with them, you know. So it's like, you know, I'm not going to say that she's even a bad player. Like, I know recency bias, a lot of people don't like Nicole. Obviously, I'm not too much of a fan, but I'm also going to give credit where credit's due. She's a very good player. So it's, you know, it is what it is there. I also do want to say, yeah, she came back in. I'm glad that they don't bring back the whole return competition. We didn't really talk about that during the twist, but this was also another case of just a revolving door. You come in, you go out. I'm so glad they're done bringing people on. They don't need to do it anymore. Anyway, moving on. We have Christine. Wow, I was not a fan of Christine. Like, okay, during my rewatch, and I will say, from Donnie up, outside of like maybe Victoria and Caleb, everyone's like a competent player, right? And I think Christine honestly is like a lot better than I remembered her being. She was a part of the detonators. I think that she was prepared to jump ship when it was appropriate. I think she was ratting people out when it was appropriate. Was it the best game to watch? Was it a favorable game? No, but it's like, it kind of reminded me of Andy with just like less control, to be honest with you. I don't think she really had an end game mapped out or planned. But I did like the way that she was moving at times. I think Frankie kind of messed her game up a little bit when he tried to do a whole flip with Nicole, and he threw Christine in there, and she kind of got guilty by association. But you know, she has an interesting game, just not like a favorable one. And also, I think a lot of people just didn't like her at the time because she talked a lot of trash in the DR. There was a whole situation where she was flirting a lot with Cody, and I remember that was a big moment to the point where she got booed. That was like the second person to ever get booed in Big Brother history.
And they had her family on to talk
Wild.
about. Ooh, that was so messy.
Her mom was like, I don't like what she's doing. I'm like, oh my God.
And then her husband was like, I'm good looking too, not just Cody. Embarrassing.
Stand up.
Don't do that to yourself. Stop it. Don't say, I trust my wife, and when she comes home, we will talk.
We'll talk about this.
Do whatever you
please respect our privacy. Yeah, you get on TV playing these games, you playing foolish games with Julie Chen and them. Big Brother need their ass whooped for that. That was wild.
I loved it. That's so bad.
Wrong. It happened, but it was so bad. Like y'all all everybody involved.
They didn't make them say that. Yeah, they didn't make them say that. Look.
No, they asked a question about Cody's looks. 100%. They were like, "Oh, Cody's a good-looking guy. What do you think?" And he's like, "I mean, I'm good-looking too." Shit, you stupid. Yeah. Stop the madness.
Big Brother hold them people, but them people hold themselves too. Like everybody here is the problem.
Correct. Imagine your mom saying that about you. I would fight my mom. I would be like, "What are you doing, dude?"
That was really bad.
You pick me first. Pick me all the time. Christine's game was not fun to watch. No. She also was actively working against the power structures that were trying to take down Derek and them. So like when that happens, we are going to take out our anger on the lowest hanging fruit, and that a lot of time was Christine. Christine also was one of the women who thought they weren't like the other girls. I'm not going to go out in these men's alliances. You know, like it's fine. I'm with them. It's cool. They're picking off all the rest of them. I'm going to be different. I'll be the last one. We don't respect that kind of game as viewers. A lot of times, like you comparing her to Andy, and it's kind of similar because she was ratting people out, but Andy was never at any point was Andy in danger of being at the bottom of an alliance.
Yeah.
Like, when there was an alliance, he moved to be in the next biggest alliance. Christine stayed at the bottom of that alliance until there was nowhere else to go. That is not the same. And I think that like you know, like I've met her once. She seems really nice, and I think that, you know, like I hate that thing. You know, bad things happen to nice people sometimes, and I think the Big Brother like booing and stuff that she got is not fair, because I think there's people who
Exactly.
actively suck who should have gotten booed and
But it was
dragged
a
out
lot
of
of
that house.
men booing her, so I was like, makes sense.
Yeah, but women were joining because women's rights and wrongs, you know. And
Shut up.
so
No
we support all of
women.
that. Yeah,
No. Shut
yeah.
up.
And so
Take
like
Chappell off the podcast.
no, because they would come with us. But you know what I'm saying? Like it was so bad, and I think that if anybody deserves like a fair shot at like telling their own story, it's her. Because like the worst thing she did was cuddle with Cody. Like
I
we've
think she
seen
went on a
people out here.
podcast on YouTube somewhere and did that.
Yeah, like that's
I mean,
it.
her and
Like,
her husband are not together anymore. You know what I mean? Like, I
Right,
just,
but how do
I
you
was
survive
terrified.
something like this as a couple? You know, like you get on TV talking
Yeah.
like you basically are like cheating on me on TV for all intents and purposes. The internet is sensationalizing all of it, and then you get on TV with your parents and stuff like that. Is all in the mix. Big Brother, everybody's televising this. No one survives something like that. So Christine as a player is not my type of player, not at all. But you know, I don't. Looking back, I think that we were rude to Christine, and collectively, the fan base probably owes her an apology.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we were definitely on her.
I also have to say, I never hated Christine necessarily, even when I watched the show live, because I think whatever personal wise, yeah, it was messy, it was shady. I'm not in the marriage. Who am I to say anything? Like, and maybe if her partner doesn't like it, like it's wrong, period. And I have to say, I just feel like she was one of those women, right, that believe that, oh, if I am the dog for the patriarchy, then my leash will be longer. And maybe it was, because listen, besides Victoria, who laid there like a fish, she was the next woman to make it, right? So I understand that, but I feel like women like Christine more than Nicole, but Nicole's a little bit part of that too, where they believe that, you know, if I just go hard for the patriarchy or for whatever majority system that doesn't benefit me, I'll be the difference. He'll change for me, right? And that's why I think it bothers me, because there's a difference between someone being like, okay, this is a system, I need to game it. I feel like they weren't gaming it in this season. I agree with what you said about Nicole in her next one, but in this season, it didn't feel like Christine was gaming the system and being like, oh, let me try to maneuver from the inside and blow it up. But no, fuck no. She was not trying to do that. Instead, she actually got mad at Frankie for telling Nicole that she's going to help flip over to her side. She's like, Frankie, why would you say that? I am never going to flip. Well, you're an idiot. And you went out because of that right after Nicole. You like, please. So that's why I don't necessarily agree, Chappell, with you about like, oh, we shouldn't fault these people, because I agree in reality we shouldn't. And I think in these moments, right, when they're actively being like, oh, I gotta get you out so I can be the only woman, right? Like that's what vibes Christine and unfortunately at times Amber was giving. And that's why I will go hard on them, but who cares about the personal stuff? That's not up to me. And the fact that these losers are booing her, like how embarrassing. Like if, you know, maybe they're projecting, maybe they got cheated on and that's why they're, you know, doing it to Christine, but like grow a pair, you losers. Like stop.
Yeah.
They wouldn't have booed Cody. They wouldn't have booed Cody.
No.
You know,
they would have been like, "You're the man."
Yeah, or they would have ignored it. Like, oh, that was a thing that happened. Like, oh, Cody was like, they wouldn't have booed Cody if he was in that situation. Nope. And the people will say, well, Cody wasn't in a relationship. But I'm saying if he was, and this situation was completely flipped, he would not have gotten booed. I think Christine got booed for a number of reasons, and it all converged into one. But yeah, so I think she probably got a rough break on like her Big Brother experience.
Like Aaron getting booed versus Christine getting,
right.
like, you know what I mean? Like,
come
on.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. It's not the same.
See, my thing with the final six is that like I don't see any of these people outside of Frankie at times, but not really. It's like, when are you guys going to take a shot at Cody? I mean, at Derek, right? And I think Christine, I don't think that she really thought about like how she was going to get to the end. Like I know she was like mad that everyone like played in her face and blindsided her, but it's like, what was your plan? You know, it's like I think of, to compare her strategy, not personality, her strategy is almost like Christmas, right? Where it's like you're loyal to an alliance, you're going to be diehard for an alliance, everyone else can go. What's your plan to win at that point? Are you just there for the alliance or are you there for the money? You get what I'm saying? So I didn't like that. That I think that's what kind of rubbed me the wrong way. I kind of felt that way about Cody this season as well. And I mean, we'll get to him at some point. But yeah, that's Christine. So we can get to Frankie. So Frankie, honestly, I think he's one of the better players in this season. One of the, I did think that he was a little bit of annoying at times, but I think he was really solid strategically. I think it was very charismatic. The thing with Frankie, I think that he had moments where he tried to kind of flip the game to his benefit. But as we said, there's people like Christine, people like Zach, a lot of people in this season who snitch and rat Frankie out to the point where he's kind of like forced in his area to kind of submit to Derek. Because it's like, who you're going to take to the end at that point. I know that there was at this point where before they reset the week with the button and everything, he was HOH, he was the veto holder, and Victoria was actually supposed to leave right here, which I'm interested to see how the game ends at that point, because in my opinion, I said this at the beginning of the pod, Victoria is probably more important to Derek's game than Cody is. So I think since Victoria stayed, completely messed Frankie's game up. I think he had the right read where he was like, look, everyone wants to take Victoria to the end. Let's take her out so it opens up the possibility for me to get to the end. Iffy there, but it's like he was good at competitions. He was a solid strategically. I just think that I just don't know if he had the right timing. I think he tried to get Derek out when it was too late, and I think he misplayed his hand. But how did you guys feel about Frankie in the season?
Yeah, straight rat behavior, right? All the time. And it was fine. Like whoever was in power, Mans would literally get in bed with them. And there was a lot of just fascinating moments with him and oh my God, Zach, where I was just like, should we be watching someone discovering themselves? Like, I don't know. Turn this off. Don't show this, Big Brother. And my favorite thing is day one, him and Zach fighting about wherever they were in Florida and where Frankie grew up. And also a lot of folks in the chat were talking about Frankie specifically and being like they were really milking him being Ariana Grande's brother. And I agree, because what was that reveal? Right? He's like, and my last name is Grande and I have 1 million followers and
I'm a social media mogul.
Yeah, social media mogul. And look at my amazing play that I put up that America hated. And my favorite was Ari Grande. And I Victoria's face was like, what the fuck? Like, how dare you lie? So I just he was a little bit more self-important instead of kind of being just like a rat that he actually was.
My favorite thing about that reveal is that Derek doesn't know who Ariana Grande is.
Amanda Grande?
Amanda. Oh yeah, Ariana Grande is his sister. Yeah, oh my God, Derek, you're 65. Stop it. Your oldest so showing. That's my favorite. That's probably my favorite scene of the entire season. Is just Derek being like, "Oh, somebody Grande? Yeah, her.
Amanda?
Oh yeah. Oh my God, Amanda? Yeah.
Amanda was the best.
Yeah, so Frankie was a good player, but also Frankie had his flaws as well. I think that the week there, Frankie is about to get backdoored. Caleb goes and sits down, and they're all in their football uniforms, I believe. I think he was wearing a Ravens jersey, if I remember correctly.
Oh, yeah. I meant to make that joke, and I forgot about you.
It's okay.
Mari. Yeah.
No,
sorry.
it's all good. Frankie was wearing the Ravens jersey, and he did it on his own. He won the veto on his own to save himself from getting backdoored. But then after that, Frankie ends up winning HOH. He has Caleb and Cody, I believe, on the block, and he uses the veto on Caleb to basically win favor with him from the Amber thing. I think that Frankie at this point should have been trying to, get out a Cody or a Caleb to weaken Derek. He didn't have any troops with him. I mean, Zach is at that point, I believe Zach is already gone, right? Too. So it's like, Frankie, you have to take a shot at some point. Keeping Caleb around is only going to buy you a week or two, maybe. And then what do you think? You and Caleb are going to go up against Cody and Derek? There's no way you think that that's going to be a winning formula for you when Caleb just sat down on the ground to let you lose. He legit made you win that veto on your own. I also say this. I think the veto is a lot easier to win when you're by yourself. You can control both sides. It's a teamwork competition. That's why it's so hard. So for you to have it on your own, of course you won that. Well, I guess that's the Battle of the Block or whatever that is. Of course you won that. So I give him credit for being able to win that on his own, but I also say like it was probably the best decision to do that one on your own. But then at that point, when you know that people are targeting you, you have to then take the shot, and he just didn't. So Frankie was cool. And whatever. The fan base really didn't like him. I was indifferent, honestly.
Yeah.
But it's fun to see a quote unquote celebrity who actually wants to play the game. And I think Frankie came in there with a legit strategy to win the game. He just didn't execute it. And he was a fan of the game, and that's always fun to see.
Now, do we think that Frankie didn't take shots at Derek because of Team America? I mean, that's something I want to think about as well.
Yeah, I mean, still a
No,
positive.
because he was quick to take shots with
Donnie.
Donnie.
So I don't,
Donnie
and he
was going
hated
too.
Donnie from jump. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, and then again, Frankie does not benefit from Team America like Donnie benefits from Team America, right? Frankie's in a larger alliance. He has more allies and he has more money than Donnie. Donnie is like, if I get to the end, I can get at least a bonus from Team America. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can get some out of here. I'm leaving here with some.
Yeah.
It's not the same as Frankie, entertaining Team America.
And a big error I want to say about him, like, obviously I said it earlier, he let Zach go so easily, and I think that he thought that he could replace him with Caleb, but like, yeah, because Caleb was like wrapped around Derek's finger at that point. Like, Derek literally convinced the guy that like he has no chance against him, and like Caleb was like, all right, so my only competition is Cody and Frankie, and it's like, Frankie, you didn't put in the work, in my opinion, to like really try to get him out. Now, granted, Caleb was dumb at points, and I mean, he's the next person that we're talking about, so I can kind of transition it in there. But Caleb was dumb enough to tell Frankie, like, hey, we were thinking about voting you out last week. In my mind, I'm like, look, you're HOH, just a green light to put Cody and Derek up like that. But he even said in his confessions, like, the only person I trust 100% in here is Derek. I'm like, do you not see the problem with that, Frankie? So I don't know. I felt like he had a lot of potential, and he played the rat game, got caught a lot. But it's like, what was your end game plan at that point? Like, are you really trying to sit next to Derek? If you're taking Victoria out, like I don't know what he was thinking there. I think that was a big misplay.
To be fair, by that point, there was nothing Frankie could do. Like, Derek is the one who saved him from being backdoored the previous week. I believe Derek told Cody, like, hey, we can't go after Frankie yet. So Frankie saying that Derek is the only one he could trust, it was a fact. There was nowhere else for him to turn. What was it? Him and Victoria were going to rally the troops? Like, you know what I'm saying?
No.
Like, at this point in the game, he had already lost. You're right. It's the Zach thing. He should have never let Zach go, and he probably should have went out on a limb for Donnie, because them would have been some people that he could have pulled in to kind of build an alliance, or try to or even when Nicole thing happened, like there was a chance that Nicole could have stayed. She called Derek Dan Giesling. It was all got mixed up, blah blah blah. Like, in those moments, those key pieces that Derek was eliminating, he should have been eliminating, but he knew that Derek was the only one who really had his back. Up until that point, Derek was not threatened by Frankie in the way that Frankie should have been threatened by Derek, and it just didn't work out both ways. But he had already lost the game by the time this happens.
Yeah.
Oh, but his best move is that Ariana Grande reveal. Dear God, because it worked.
Yeah,
For some reason, that worked. I don't know why, but it did.
Because people don't want Ariana Grande fans mad at them. That's why it worked.
It was also him saying that he would give money to children in Africa, I think, as well. He was trying to change the
white
direction.
savior complex, please.
Listen,
God.
the boys start pulling out all the stops. I would love to see it.
Where in Africa? Just the whole continent?
Just
I don't know if he
would
would
have
have
sprinkle some money across the continent, Sasha. Just like,
$1 per country.
Yeah.
He did get a call for All Stars too and turned it down. So that was also
he did. Sad for us.
Yeah, but he did not want to play. But yeah, interesting. All right, Final Four. Caleb. We spoke about him a little bit during this podcast. So look, Caleb is like, he's good at comps, but I'm gonna be honest. I think Caleb is like one of the worst players I've ever seen play Big Brother, and it's crazy. Like, first of all, it's like it's like Final 6, Final 5, and this guy's still name dropping the Bomb Squad, and I'm like, ooh, like these editors are really putting this in the show to show how dumb this guy is. So that's my first issue with him. He's still name dropping the Bomb Squad, thinking that it's relevant. He honestly thinks that he has a chance to beat Derek, to the point where he's like, Derek's like in his face, oh, you beat me, like I'm not going to do good. He said, yeah, that's true. And he said, yeah, I definitely would beat you if I got to the end. Like, this, I feel like I'm watching like a mini or something. I'm like, is this guy serious? So it's like he was very gullible. I felt like he was too blinded by his huge obsession with Amber, to the fact that he was like still targeting Frankie because of Amber. He's like, oh, you're the reason Amber's gone. You
No,
lied.
you're the reason why Amber's gone.
Thank
You
you.
stupid.
Yeah, I just don't think Caleb has a good sense of self-awareness. He really thought he was running the game for all season up until he was eliminated, which is wild. He didn't put any legwork in, to the point where people are going to him and they're like, hey, you should do this, Caleb. I think that this will be a great move on your resume. And he was like, okay. And then he would just do exactly what they asked. He would go on the block just to make it look like he was like some head honcho big guy. And I'm like, why are you doing this? Like Caleb frustrated me so much during my second watch this past week. So I'm not impressed by Beast Mode. I don't know why Survivor brought him back 2 times, to be honest with you. But
Oh yeah, he did come back tight. Not me forgetting.
okay. But I'm tired of Beast Mode Cowboy. I don't need any more Beast Mode Cowboy on my screen. Yeah, how do you guys feel about Caleb?
I just personally never want him to know peace. Like, I think that's it. I don't know how else to say it. I think he's trash. I truly think he has worms for brains. And what he did to Amber and just how he talked about all the women, because he talked about Brittany really badly as well. So I just think like he's honestly gives off super loser energy. And I can't believe that he wasn't taken out of the game for just how horrible and stalkerish he was to Amber, where every time she walked by, oh, that's my girl. I ate a pickle for you. The bar is in hell, right? For men. Like the fact that you ate a pickle for me and I'm supposed to be indebted to you. Imagine. People used to go to war,
We used to be kings.
Listen, Sasha, I remember he was like, look, Amber, I can tell, we have like a vibe going on here. I know how you've been looking at me these past couple of days. She was like, what?
Looking at you like you a damn stalker.
It's like, I'm tired of this guy. What are you saying, Chappell?
Yeah. I was trying to think, because you said Caleb is probably one of the worst players, and I was really trying to think, okay, well, how does this? And I'm not disputing that at all. What I'm thinking is that Caleb is such a victim of his own privilege, right? Caleb is the perfect person to go far in a Big Brother game, just from who they are in life, right? I'm a strong, straight white man, right? So I come in, people want to align with me because I'm agreeable enough to where they're like, okay, I'll keep you around. I'm not extremely intimidating, intelligent. Like when it comes to intelligence, I can be an asset when it comes to physicality. So I will do well in this game. And that's pretty much what he did. And I mean, it worked, him just being himself. Like I am valuable enough to the other straight white men in the house who want to align with me. I am, strong enough to keep myself out of trouble enough to where I can make it to the end. I think Caleb does not have a social game. I think that will always be his downfall in these games. He does not have one. His social game is whatever the people around him want it to be. And I think that's his biggest flaw. And there's no strategy either. Like, it's like he thinks he's likable enough to where if he makes it to the end, he's just going to win. And I think that, like, until you start actively taking pieces off the board for other people, when he wanted to get Frankie backdoored and failed at that, they brought Frankie back into the fold. Caleb, who could possibly have used Frankie, at that point should not want Frankie back into the fold. He should still be anti-Frankie. It worked. Like, they were able to change his thought process. Strategically, yeah, he needed Frankie. But after you target somebody and literally throw a challenge, sit down and not even participate in it, you should never want that person to be in the game again, because that person should never let you know peace. And he just let that happen over and over again. There were several times where they had to call off Caleb because Caleb wanted to target somebody who wasn't great for their game as an alliance. But if you can't identify a target and go get them out, you're not going to be a great player. And so that's why I have an issue with Caleb. I think that all the other stuff with Amber and that stuff, like, of course, he's problematic for all those reasons. They never should have brought him to Survivor. They never should have brought him back for Game Changers. But, like, Caleb as a player, it was just like, it was a failed attempt at something. And they never have to go back to that well.
Yeah, also in the chat, Valencia, this is wild that during their season, there was a CBS show called Stalker, and there was a screenshot on the internet advertising the show under his face, and I want to cry.
Yeah, it literally popped up the comment just popped up on the screen. It was like at the bottom where they're like, this week Tuesday, Stalker. I remember that image. Wow. Yeah, but it's like, yeah. And then you bring in people like Caleb, who, again, are just victims to their own privilege. Like they just are walking around because they are allowed to exist unchecked. And because of that, you get Amber, feeling the way she feels and going out the way she went. So, I think the Caleb experiment was a failed one.
I mean,
Yeah.
he's a fail, right? Like a literal. I can't.
Yeah.
It's just I can't believe people like this exist and that they get to like make it to Final Four unchecked. And it's
Yeah.
it just bothers me so much, but it is what it like. That's this season, and that's why I really get frustrated by BB16 is because so much unchecked bullshit just constantly happening.
And they also brought him back to host the challenge next season. I didn't forget about that either.
Yeah.
But yeah, there you
But
go.
he wasn't even that good. I'm sorry. Like what?
Well, he was their second choice. I think they wanted Zach, and then
No, but
he
I'm
wanted
just
more
saying,
money,
like,
but
he wasn't even that good at
no, he
the
wasn't.
comps. Like, are
He
you kidding?
wasn't.
Man's got
Yeah.
medevaced on Survivor.
Yeah.
Like,
It was hot.
I did feel bad for him this first time.
I would
felt
get
bad.
medevaced on Survivor 100%, but I don't
Right.
go around saying I'm beast mode cowgirl.
He wasn't a
That is
game
true.
changer. I will say that.
Fun
But
size
different
cowgirl.
podcast.
Oh, stop.
Okay, so final three. We have the legendary figure Victoria, Queen of
Queen.
Nothing.
Honestly,
she
a
just-
queen.
Queen.
Do we believe in the myth that the jury would have voted Victoria to win if she was in the final two?
I thought you were gonna.
Who?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I thought you were gonna ask if we believed in the myth that bird came and picked her up on the beach.
Oh my
That story is still funny to me. I don't care. That's her legacy in my eyes. When she told that story about, I think it was a crow came and just grabbed her and like
Yeah.
carried her off on the beach.
I mean, bigger birds do that to little kids.
It's so
but
funny.
she's just so. You know what? For as much as I like dunk on Victoria, do I pray that may I be this docile in the world that I make it to a final three without doing anything? Like, yeah, maybe in my like laziest of lazy days, like if my laziest day equals me getting third on Big Brother, haven't I done enough?
I think you got to get second or your laziest day does not count. I really
Really?
do. Because third prize doesn't get anything, right? Like they don't even get the jury
No,
money. Like
they
it's the
don't.
worst spot.
Remember me.
Yeah, you do remember. But I think if you don't get, it's second or bust. It really
Okay,
is.
I see what you're
Yeah.
saying.
Like
Okay.
you got to get that money. There's nothing to say about Victoria's game. It's just
No,
there's
bless
not.
her.
She was there. Derek told her, "You good as long as you ride with me," and she followed instructions.
Yo, it was
and
crazy. Like I didn't
A
remember.
dog of
He was like, yo, you might be going home this week. Pretend you hate me. And then like she did it to a T, to the point where like Derek was on her bed. She was like, "You're on my bed. I'm sorry. Like Frankie actually thought that she hated him. Like she was literally there just to help Derek, and that's it. Like I don't think she tried to win this season at all.
And it's so
kudos to her.
embarrassing.
But-
It's so
but see,
embarrassing.
But see, there is the reason why I'm so hard on Victoria, and by hard on Victoria, I mean I really don't acknowledge her as a Big Brother player most times. It's because she could have done something. See, she knew Derek wanted to take her to the end. If you felt like you had a free ride to the end, as long as you listen to this one person, at this point, you should start working the jury. Victoria should have been everybody's best friend. Everybody should be going out of that house thinking, as long as Victoria got my back, if Victoria makes it to the end, we've seen other players do that to where they sit next to the big person who's been calling all the shots and they still win. Russell Hantz sat next to Natalie White and Samoa on Survivor, and Natalie White crushed him. And it wasn't like a close race either. She was going to win because people liked her. Victoria did nothing to ingratiate those people into her orbit. They didn't even care for Derek that much. A lot of them didn't even feel like they knew Derek after the end of the season. They didn't know Victoria either. What were you doing in the house for 100 days, Victoria?
Cutting up Zach's, aka her own hat. Like
But
that's
that is
all.
crazy,
like,
though.
nothing. She has
Like,
nothing.
How are you just in that house that whole time and just not know anything that's going on? Like, what do you do?
No, and then
Right.
they tell her, right? Here's the alliance, and then Derek is like, "You might end up going home." Blah blah blah, and then she's just like, "Okay, cool."
We're crazy.
Yeah, you should be in every jury member's ear at that point, being like, not even just tanking Derek's game, because if you tell they're gonna go run back to Derek and you'll be next, but you definitely need to be like, hey, I'm your listening ear. Like this week, I am latched onto you. Next week, I'm latched onto you. Every week, because Derek wouldn't have even noticed. He was not paying attention to her. As long as she met him where we're like, hey, let's go meet our weekly check-ins, so we're good. She could have been pulling people into the room like, hey, whatever you want to do, I'm with you. Whatever you want to do, I'm with you. Like 100%. And then when they get to I would have worked with you, but you didn't have the numbers, but I'm trying to get Derek out. Like she could have done something to where at the end, they're like, nah, Victoria, you've been playing the game. They could not make an argument for her. So I don't think that this myth that if she made it to the end, she would have won would have happened if she didn't do more stuff. Derek acting like, oh, well, the jury's just going to do what I say anyway. Like, no. Once they get out that house, they're not going to be latched onto you like they were. But in that house, they couldn't see the forest for the trees. I just think Victoria, she understood her one assignment and she stuck to it. And she really should have deviated a little bit.
And Derek definitely, I think, was a little bit like disrespectful to her, right? About the Zing bot and talking about like her whole thing was, I think, that she was a virgin, and he just like made a lot of not so great, I feel like, references as well when she was maybe trying to maneuver a little bit. So it was really gross. And the Adam and Eve punishment as well.
Oh yeah.
That like, how is that okay? I don't like, it just makes me so uncomfortable, and I could never. I don't know. I could never.
Big brother for you. There you go.
And with a stalker, imagine if Amber had won that punishment.
Oh my God.
They wanted that.
They would have. That's what I'm saying.
That's so bad. That is so bad.
Yeah. Joseph asked in the chat, one of the questions is how many winners have won based on the karma is a bitch. And like it's really messed up because like we know Paul definitely lost because karma is a bitch, right? Like it was definitely that. It was that situation where it doesn't matter how much strategy you have. It does not matter how much you control the game. If you're mean to people, if you people are a victim to you, a lot of times that energy will come back around. Derek was not as like, he was not mongering as much hate as Paul was mongering in that house. And I give Paul some passes because Paul, they were just like standing there letting stuff happen, but they were complicit for sure. Yeah, but like Derek had less of that. So like I said, Derek probably could have lost that game if Victoria was actively doing something similar to what Josh was doing, or something similar to what other people were doing, which is kind of trying to ingratiate themselves with the jury. So I think there's something there. It was just Victoria, if she could have won that one competition, if she could have just got one in there and just that'd have been it. Like if she won that final HOH, we're having a different conversation at that point. You know what I'm saying? So you know.
And also, I mean, Tyler losing because that karma.
That's the karma conversation with Tyler as well. Like,
let's
just step into
anyway.
No, let's talk about
that'll leave Jordan.
No, listen. Tyler had you have open door number A or door number 1. You have your girlfriend who everybody hates. Door number 2, you have this girl who nobody has any feelings about whatsoever because she doesn't talk or do anything. She's just there. Why would you eliminate your girlfriend who everybody hates? You can be the one at the end sitting next to your showmans. You don't have to piss her off and one day maybe get a divorce. And then you can also
they didn't get married, don't worry.
Whatever, yeah. Piss her off, and you can win the game. Tyler, come on, man. It's right there. It's right there. What's not clicking?
I think some people are addicted to the idea of just being a part of like a duo and then getting to the end with that. I mean,
how is your partner not your duo embarrassing?
Look,
and nobody likes her. You could take her to the end and win. She's a goat.
Like, a literal lampshade.
Yeah.
Anyway, it is what it is. Like, I know I'll be voted out first in Big Brother, so who am I to talk about anything?
I'm gone. I know it.
I'd blow the whole house up, but I'm out first.
Lastly, we have the Hitmen, everyone's favorite players. We can kind of talk about these guys and together because I mean we kind of spoken about Derek and Cody for a majority of this. Look, I want to see how you guys feel because there is a huge conversation out there. Are Derek and Cody actually good Big Brother players, right? It's like I as well as everyone else, have said that these two have not really faced adversity within the 2 seasons that they have participated in. Now, with that being said, both of them, every time the 2 times they've been in the finale situation, they have received all the votes, hypothetically, because Enzo did not get a single vote, and then this as well.
Cody got a
And
vote.
Yeah.
Jocasta would never vote for Derek. My queen with the bow tie.
No,
I'm
too.
saying,
Donnie
I'm
and
saying
Jocasta.
they've received the
Yeah.
votes though. They received the
Oh,
votes
okay.
though.
I was
So
like,
I'm
listen.
saying, I'm saying they got the votes regardless. What I'm
Yeah.
saying is, do they know what they, if they had like adversity, would they do too good? Like Cody's kind of a hothead, you know, and I mean, even on top of that, what is the legend for Cody and Derek? Like, why hasn't Derek come back? I wish he came back for All Stars too. You know, I just
Because
wanted to see what was
people
going
would
on.
drag him to hell. Like,
I mean, would
he is
they
so
though?
sweet. Well, okay, not with that
We
All
just saw
Stars, because we
Nicole
know
and
they
okay.
pre-gamed like
Okay.
crazy. But I believe that Derek would only show up if it was an all. No, actually, I don't think he would ever come back because he knows we would drag him. Actually, yeah, so I
Yeah.
take it back because other folks have said they'd come back if it was an all winner season. But I would take him out first of all. But everyone is stupid and would be like, Derek, just like Dan's ass was not taken out when it should have. So I don't know. I just feel like people get misted by vanilla white men.
Will too. So
No, it's just vanilla white men. They're like, ooh, I like
Yeah.
exotic people.
How about you,
Like,
Chappell?
what
Do you
is
think
it?
they're good players?
Yes, I think they're effective players, both of them. I think it would be
Cody is not.
disrespectful. I do think the second
think
time
he
he played, he
is.
was effective because the first time he played, I see a lot of flaws. I think the second time
Yeah.
he had an assignment and he executed it. I think that execution is really what a lot of people are like struggle with in Big Brother. So yeah, if there was a lot of pre-gaming, that's fine, but you still have to keep those structures together.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, like there are a ton of reasons why people should turn on Cody, and he's winning them over and over and over again. They're looking at the villain and they're like, no, let me go after Davon because I'm gonna say, let me go go after somebody else. You know what I'm saying? And I think that is a credit to some of the gaming that he does while in the house too. So I won't take that from Cody. Derek in his first game, there are a ton of times where people tried to get Derek out, and Derek had to stop people from actively making mistakes to get that would lead to him potentially losing pieces. He stopped Caleb from targeting Frankie. He stopped Cody from targeting Caleb. Like, he has to keep these things together, because if he doesn't keep it all together like that, he doesn't win the game. And so I think that if you can like articulate a strategy and see it through from beginning to the end, I think that makes you effective. Now, are you my type of player? No. I think that they also get a lot of privileges, right? Being straight white men of a certain age with a decent physical, like, and no visible physical limitations makes you
And
somebody
being
people
from
want
the
to align
same
with.
part of the country.
Right. And it makes people want to align with you, you know. And so because of that, they are afforded a lot of like different allowances in the game. Can I take that from them? It's not like they can turn that off. They cannot. But they've taken the path of least resistance both times as they've played. There are other ways you can win the game. You do not have to create a big, huge alliance of all the people that you know or that look exactly like and win the game. When you're white, you don't have to do that. And so there are other ways that Derek could have done that. And so like I said, I think they're both effective players. I think it's not fair to say that they're not, but I definitely don't think they're my type of players. You know, they're not the type of player that I like to see. I don't enjoy that watching that type of game. But I think they could do it again. I think if you put them both like in a chill town situation where you put them both on the same season, I think people would be crazy to not either take them out first or lose to them.
But that's exactly it. Like we're saying, these exact conditions need to be replicated, and then it happens again. Derek was one of my favorite players because I do think that what he did is incredible. He was never nominated. That's a big deal.
Yeah. And there was 2 pairs of nominees every week.
Exactly.
Like, he had twice the chances to get nominated.
And anytime something came to him, he was able to shift the narrative. So I just feel like Cody is not all of that, but but Derek is. And I do think, yes, Derek could maneuver stuff. But my point is that everything would have to go right for both of them to come together to make it to the end. Versus, I think Derek by himself maybe could make it, but people are so dumb. Then it's another cast of dummies if he makes it to the end. That's how I feel.
And Battle of the Block definitely helps Derek in this game in a way that it helps nobody else up until this point. Battle of the Block makes it to where I can effectively choose the nominees every week as long as I'm aligned with at least one person who has a choice, right? So this game that Derek wins, a lot of people aren't afforded this game where like I could just like my ally needs to throw this competition and then we can control everything. And they do that every week. So it's kind of like Battle of the Block. They break the game. I'll give him credit for that. But once it's broken, that's like 5 weeks free that he gets where he's just like chilling. And so like that's why I look at Cody's as kind of like a little bit more impressive because I'm like Cody had the pre-gaming, but once he had the pre-gaming, he had to hold it together.
Yeah.
Derek had the Battle of the Block, but he held it together on his own. So it's kind of like there is mixed. It's a mixed bag. I think the biggest indictment I have against Cody is that he wouldn't have cut Derek. Like you have the chance to win the game, and which you choose not to. That is why I don't think you're as effective back then. But I think knowing what he knows now, he'd be fine.
It's like, so obviously the way they played has changed Big Brother forever. I feel like finally we're kind of seeing that unravel with Taylor's season, but it took a long time for that to get to that point again. Just to compare their play styles, like you said, Chappell, I do think that they both are similar in the fact that they want to have a structure, keep it together, and ride it out to the end, right? I think Derek's way of playing it is like he needs a lot of big players to be around there to distract people from how good he's playing. So by the time it's the end game, it's kind of too late. You can't really target him because you got like a Frankie or like a Caleb or a Nicole. You got these people still in the game. It's like, I could take out Derek, but like there's these other people who are aggressively coming for me. And then you got Cody, which we kind of saw in this season and in All Stars. Cody's more like, screw that. Let's take all the big threats out early and then just keep all the bad players in the end, and then we could just ride it out. And I think Cody was actually going to do that this season, where you see he wants to get out a Caleb, he wants to take out Frankie very early, but then Derek's always that person in the ear saying, nah, we're not going to do that. So I think Cody is a little bit more aggressive, and as you said, and I mean, to be honest, Shink said in the chat, I'm not going to say he's the better player because obviously he took Derek to the end, and that's not a good move. But I think that his approach and idea with strategy is better than Derek, because I think Derek was playing it very risky at times. Because let's be honest, Battle of the Blocks helped him, Team USA helped him, but the reset button really helped him, because if that reset button is not there, I don't even know if he still wins the season. So yeah, it's very interesting. I kind of wish he came back at some point to play again. I don't think he's coming back, but I mean, at least Cody came back and showed that he can do it again. That's why I am a tad bit more impressed by Cody. With that being said, there's a whole lot of factors, like you guys said. I'm not the biggest fan of either one of them, but I can acknowledge that they are good players. And I know people don't like saying it, but I compare them with Dan and Will personally, because I mean, look, Cody's a unanimous winner. He had a perfect game.
Oh,
you can't
come on.
He's the only person to have a perfect game.
That's great.
I'm not saying I care, but he's the only person never go on the block and have all the jury votes. That's never happened before. I got to give credit where credit's due. And then Derek, I mean, it's hard. You can't put Cody over Derek because Cody made a dumb decision and took Derek to the end. So it's like, I'm tired of the Hitman era. I'm not gonna lie.
How would Enzo get? Oh my god. Anyway, that's not that podcast. Let's move on. Everyone, you should check that out to talk more. But please, I think that's a little bit ridiculous. He's smart and he took Enzo because I think you also you play when you return, right? You usually play like the winner of your season. Yeah. So it makes sense why he played the way he did and he had all the alliances. But I don't know why we're just like forgetting all the ostracizing that happened on that season. And there was no right. And there was no way for anyone, just like this season, for the minorities, whatever way, right? Age, gender, color, it doesn't matter. Whatever minority, there's no chance for you. Because of how Big Brother is set up and how these players manipulate that setup. So that's why I feel like we're being so high on Cody when all he did was ostracize people. And I'm not saying him, like, right, the system that he was a part of necessarily. Like, he just like was like, Christmas, activate, go, you do you know, an active fool. So I'm not taking his win away because he still won, right? And that's fine. He has money and he won. But I just think it's wild to say that, like, oh, he had 0 votes again. Like, who the fuck you're gonna vote for Enzo? Get out of here, bro. Like, you're all stupid then if you vote for Enzo.
Yeah.
Well,
I kind of linked them in my head, Cody and Derek. At this point, like I used to like think, oh, Derek is better, but once Cody won, I really did look at it and be like, Derek had the battle of the block. That's a big assistance in a game. It
Mhm.
really is. It really is. Especially if once you break it, being in that position, like you said, Sasha, there's always going to be afforded that luxury of like, I'm in the majority here. So what's up? So let's do the obvious smart thing. Had anybody taken a path of more resistance, then I would say, oh no, this person is a better player because they had to do all these things to get there, right? When it was like, no, they both put themselves in a situation where they just had to get to the end with one of the people from their alliance and they would have won. And a very specific person, but they would have won,
Exactly.
Yeah. So I don't really like hold that against them, but I'm not wowed by either of them. Like I make no mistake. I think they're like giving the allowances they are given. I think that most people would do well in the game of Big Brother if you are that person. I think Cody's agreeable enough to where he's going to do fine in any game he plays ever. Like he just is.
We're gonna find out soon.
Yeah, and that's just how Big Brother operates. You know what I'm saying? Like it just does. That's how the game is set up. And that's fine for them. But like as far as I'm concerned, not my favorite games to watch. But yeah, so like for me, it's like for them, it's like they're 1A and 1B when and like as far as like whenever people are like, oh yeah, who's better? I'm like, whatever.
Yeah.
It's interchangeable. Yeah. It doesn't matter.
Well, we're gonna see him go against the Sheree Fields very soon, so we'll see how that goes.
Oh yeah, I forgot he was in there.
Oh, Cody's in it too?
Yes, yeah, so we will see how that goes. But okay, so we can start doing our closing topics because we have talked about the whole cast. If you guys can't tell, we like to talk, so I did not mean this to go this long, but here we are.
Yeah, it's the longest one.
It might be. If it's not the longest, it's the second longest. But so Big Brother 16, what is its impact now that it's been a couple of years since it came on TV? We've seen what it's done to modern day Big Brother. How do we feel about its impact with Big Brother as a whole?
Sorry, I'm just like not trying to be beat. No, I do think that this is where the shift happened, and it's not to be lost on us and on me at least that this is the season they show in Sequester, right? It's important to note that as well. So I don't think it was like the worst season ever of a Big Brother, but it wasn't enjoyable. And when I watched it live, I liked Derek, and I do think that the whole like big alliance day one get together happened, and Big Brother 16 is a big part of that. So that's what I feel like. It's annoying and I hate it, but sucks if you're a minority.
Yeah. Now, I was going to say, I mean, look, we have 3 winners from the season. So obviously, it did something. Unfortunately, all 3 of those winners play very similar. So it's like, I'm not a fan of what it's done to Big Brother. Hopefully, with the season that just happened, we're going to be treading in the right direction. But yeah, it's sad that it took so long just to kind of unravel from this like big group mentality. Like I remember seeing things like the Brigade was like a rare commodity. I'm like, whoa, like a big alliance. I'm not used to seeing that. I feel like I've seen that like every season now. So it's like, it happened. It did give me some funny moments that I still think to this day, and I do think that this cast is full of characters. So I'll give it that. But I will say it is very frustrating the lack of pushback the winner did get. So it's there. But it's a part of Big Brother history. So yeah. How about you, Chappell?
I think people give this season too much credit to say that it changed the way like Big Brother is played or something like that because of this big, huge alliance thing. Like Big Brother 12 happened first, right? And it was the original of this. It really was. It was Hayden and Lane, Enzo, and I don't remember the fourth person. Matt Hoffman. Matt Hoffman as the core 4. Then they went and brought in 4 other people, and then they did this whole thing where they whittled it down into those 4 people were the only one left, and then they won. Like that's the same thing that Derek ends up doing. He just picks 2 more people. It's not like they didn't do some super like strategically new thing, and then the Battle of the Block also helped them with that. You know what I'm saying? So for me, it's like, bro, this season should not get that credit. Like I understand why people would, because it's been a few seasons in season 12, but think about everything that happens after season 12, right? Like season 13 is the season where Rachel comes right back, right? It's an all-star season, so it doesn't count, right? Because it's not the same as one of these normal seasons. You have like half all-stars and half regular people, right? New players. And then the following season after that, you have the coaches twist where it's a bunch of all-stars and a bunch of new players. So like you still don't have a chance to recreate it. The next time you have a chance to recreate that is Big Brother 15, and they do the exact same thing. It's Howard, it's basically what
The
they
moving
call it, a moving company.
Yeah.
That big alliance forms again, and it does the same thing. It just the MVP twist is what throws it off. But Big Brother 12 is where this all starts. Make no mistake.
I will say it's a huge difference between 4 players doing it with like half of the house doing it. You know what I'm saying? Because the bomb squad,
it's that number 8 is what I
yeah,
think
like
is
that
the-
bomb squad turned into Big Brother 17 with Vanessa's whole side, and then that turned into Big Brother 18, which was Nicole's whole side, 19 Paul's whole side, the Grateful Alliance, level 6, like 4. I mean, okay, you know, but like it's not half of the house, you know. It's like once that first week happens, it's like there's no coming back. Versus when it was like that, like only 4 people, all right, like they're running things, but there's chances where they can really mess up because it's not a majority of the house. That's why I do think it's 16, but I see what you're saying.
No. See, it's 4 in actuality, but it's painted as 8. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like they're still going and
Yeah.
getting Reagan. They're still
That's
going
true.
and getting Brittany. They all think that they're safe because of that core 4, which is saying like we're all good. So it's kind
Yeah.
of like the cookout. You cannot go align with you can't go target one of my people because I'm gonna tell you you're good with that person. Like, hey, I don't think I'm good with Hayden. I'm gonna put him up. Hey, you're cool with me. And I'm telling you, Hayden's good, so don't target him. So I go get somebody else. It's the same concept. I just think Big Brother 12 did it first and did it better.
Yeah.
So that's why I don't give that much credit to Big Brother 16. I think it's a flop of the season. Big Brother 16. It's not that fun to watch.
Okay.
Listen,
we love different things. Listen, that's why we do this review series. That's completely fine. Lastly, the last question I have before we start closing up is how do we Chappell kind of answered that. How do we rank Big Brother season between the other ones? Top, middle, or low? How do we feel? You said flop.
No, it's middle low for sure.
That's what
we
I would
haven't
do.
gotten to the best seasons. We're not even close.
The crazy thing is that if you look at Big Brother winners and Big Brother seasons, there are not that many good ones.
Yeah.
So like in both areas. So it's kind of like it's thin at the top, and then at the bottom it's a lot of junk down there.
A lot of mid.
I think this season is low mid, but it can't be one of the worst seasons because if you think about it, the worst seasons are the ones that are super problematic and we can't watch it. But the fact that Big Brother has so many of those, you almost have to have its own tier for racism or sexism or whatever. This is teetering on that. There's literally a stalker in the house, and Big Brother knows enough to put it on the screen. You know what I'm saying? So it's like if it's not in the bottom tier, it's right above it. So that's what I'm like, for me, this is not a season you tell people to go watch. Why? Why would you? Unless you just want to show somebody how to win the game.
Unless you're Big Brother production, yeah.
Yeah. You like show somebody how to actively win the game. This is how you do it.
Sure.
Okay. Well, that is it. That's our review for Big Brother 16. I know this is a long one, but I like this is a fun one. We like to chat. So I had a really fun time with this one. If you haven't already, subscribe to the Silent Podcast YouTube channel, follow our social media pages and our Twitch channel. If you're interested, please leave a 5-star review on all of our audio platforms. If it's not 5, keep it. Wait until you find one that you do like that's 5 stars. But I do want to start doing our closeouts. Mari was here earlier, but shout out to Mari on Mari's Talks Too Much on Twitter. Check out her coverage on Rob as a podcast. She has a lot of shows, so make sure you watch all of those. Chappell, again, thank you for coming. Where can people find you?
Yeah, speaking of Mari and I have recently wrapped up our season in review of Atlanta, the final season on post-show recaps. So check out post-show recaps for that. And check out post-show recaps for my other 2 reviews for Bel Air season 1 and the final season of The Walking Dead, because those will all be out within this week. Over on post-show recaps, I also just did some coverage for the White Lotus season finale. So that was a good time. And Gia Worthy and myself host Abbott Elementary at post-show recap too. So just doing a lot of work over there on post-show recaps, it seems. I'm also on Rob Has a Podcast doing Netflix coverage. Rob and I are covering Netflix shows on our podcast, Nothing But Netflix. So check out Nothing But Netflix or tweet at Nothing But RHAP if you want to get a suggestion or put something on our radar so that we can talk about it on the show. And then I'm guesting on the Shit 90 Shows Taught Me podcast soon to talk about Home Alone 2. So check that out as well. But yeah, follow me on Twitter at Chappell's_show, where I'm tweeting out those links as they come up.
All right. How are you, Sasha?
Great. And as for me, you can find me weekly on Rob Has a Podcast / Mess Feed, where I'm talking mess magnets with Kirsten McKennis, where we cover celebrity mess, we cover vibes only, lots of ratchetness, lots of me going off as always. So check all of that out. And over here on Silent Podcast, I just wrapped up The Amazing Race with Jason. So check that out. And we have our own feed. Chappell and I just wrapped up Never Have I Ever as well. So check that out. And I will be guesting on the Too Hot to Handle podcast this week as well. So that will be out. And last but not least, I will also be I also did a recap review, year in review, whatever, with on the Everything is Super feed, where we talked about all the superhero stuff, but as a Marvel girly, all I talked about was the Marvel stuff. So that should be out as well. And if you can't keep track of anything I just said, just follow me on Twitter at funsize_04 and you'll know everything else I'm up to. Thanks for having me, Isaiah. This was like ratchet as hell, but so much
Yeah,
fun.
thank you so much.
And you owe us all
A good season.
Yeah, for
I
sure.
have to come back for June, like making that very clear.
We'll
That'll have
talk
to come back
about
for
it.
Or I'll
after.
fight you. That's awesome.
Lastly, you can find me at 8Ball Bangers on all social media platforms. If you enjoy what you hear with these reviews, you see me later this week. Usually we do this every Sunday, Monday, but we should be talking about everyone's favorite Big Brother 15 sometime this week. So we're going to get that, and then we have Big Brother 14 next Monday. That should be a very fun one. So make sure you check out that one. You can check out the Isaiah and Nicole podcast. We are coming, I think it should be next week. We're bringing some guests on, so it should be a fun time. And then if you are interested in more music conversations like the one me and Taylor did on Renaissance, on Rob Has a Podcast, I should be doing my top 5 albums of the year podcast on RHAP. I should be bringing my friend Nicole on to talk about all of our favorite music. So it should be a fun time. But until later this week, it should be Wednesday. Make sure you check my social media because I don't have a concrete date. It's been a fun one. Have a good night, everyone. Bye.